Chapter 11-17. There were 3 or 4 young men surrounding Lu Yusen. They were clearly Lu Yusen's escorts. Standing in the middle of the 3 escorts, Lu Yusen was like the moon surrounded by stars. She was extremely cold and arrogant. She glanced at Lu Ming nonchalantly. There was slight disdain in her eyes. She was like a proud white swan. Big beard, what are you looking at? Is Yusen for you to look at? Why don't you take a piss and look at your reflection? You're already so old, yet you still want to join the competition. Do you want to marry Princess Nian Lin? You're really out of your league. Get lost. Beside Lu Yusen, a few young men berated him one after another. These people obviously came to the sacred city later and didn't know about Lu Ming's achievements. Where did these wild dogs come from? Don't you know the rules? I'm here first. I haven't entered yet. Line up for me. Do you understand? Lu Ming cast a nonchalant glance at the few of them, his eyes full of contempt. What did you say? You're courting death. Trash. The young men's faces were ugly as they berated. If it weren't for the fact that they couldn't fight here, they would have killed Lu Ming. Lu Yusen's face was also ugly and gloomy. Obviously, Lu Ming's words had included her. This trash doesn't respect the sacred emperor's order. He's obviously over the age limit, yet he wants to sneak in. I suggest that we kill him immediately as a warning to others. A young man in a red robe was the loudest. What if I'm not over the age limit? Lu Ming glanced at him. If you're not over 30 years old, I'll kneel down and eat dirt immediately. The young man in a red robe shouted. He looked at Lu Ming carefully and was even more certain that Lu Ming's age couldn't be below 30 years old. Okay, I want to test my bone age. Lu Ming shouted and his voice spread far and wide. Approved. Let him take the test. A majestic voice was heard. It was Xueqi's voice. Naturally, the rulers had witnessed everything that had happened here. Yes. Besides Xueqi, an old man flew out. With a wave of his hand, a mirror appeared. This is the bone testing mirror. It can test your bone age. The old man explained. Then, a beam of light shot out from the bone measuring mirror and enveloped Lu Ming. At this moment, almost all eyes were on Lu Ming. Could it be that Lu Ming was really under 30 years old? That's impossible. He looks like he's almost 40 years old. His actual age must be even older. Wang. At this moment, the bone testing mirror shook. Then 25 wheels appeared, shining with golden light and filling the air. This was the bone wheel. Each wheel represented 1 year. On the bone measuring mirror, there were 25 wheels, which meant that Lu Ming was only 25 years old. Moreover, the 25th wheel was not very bright, which meant that Lu Ming was still a little short of 25 years old. The scene suddenly quieted down. Everyone stared at Lu Ming with their jaws almost dropped to the ground. Oh my god, he's not even 25 years old. This awesome commander is not even 25 years old. How is that possible? He looks like he's almost 40 years old. He's growing too fast. What an eyesore. If he's not even 25 years old, doesn't that mean he belongs to the younger generation? He suppressed Wu Tsong before. There was an uproar at the scene. However, when the last sentence was said, the scene suddenly became quiet again. Yes, if he's not even 25 years old, he belongs to the younger generation. Most importantly, he suppressed Wu Tsong. If Lu Ming was really in his 30s or 40s, or even older, and suppressed Wu Tsong, it wouldn't be a big deal. After all, he had been cultivating for many years. However, Lu Ming was only in his 20s, which was younger than Wu Tsong. This meant something different. It meant that this awesome commander was a rare supreme talent who was stronger than Wu Tsong. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This awesome commander was too awesome. It really exceeded everyone's expectations. It wasn't that no one had thought that Lu Ming was someone else in disguise. However, if he wanted to enter the law enforcement army, he would have to go through a background check. If he could disguise his appearance, could he also change his aura? Damn this guy! Wu Tsong naturally saw this scene from inside the gate. He immediately gritted his teeth and wanted to bite Lu Ming. Some people from the Sky Martial Sword sect had ugly expressions. They had suffered a great loss because of this commander. The eyes of some emperors flickered as they sized Lu Ming up curiously. Oh my god, commander. He's only 25 years old? Tai Xing and the rest were completely stunned. If it wasn't for the bone measuring mirror that measured Lu Ming's bone age, they would still find it hard to believe. Behind Lu Ming, Lu Yusin and the other young men's eyes almost popped out. The red-robed young man almost bit his tongue off. "Can I enter now?" Lu Ming looked at the burly man guarding the gate. "Yes, haha." The burly man laughed awkwardly. "And you, what did you say just now? If I'm below 30 years old, you will kneel down and eat dirt. Let's begin now." Lu Ming looked at the red-robed young man and said coldly, that. I was just saying it casually. The red-robed young man's face flushed red and he was extremely embarrassed. Bullshit. Lu Ming roared and stared at the red-robed young man furiously. Even his beard stood up. A powerful aura burst out and shrouded the red-robed young man. He berated. "Where do you think you are? All the sovereigns are here and the Saint Emperors are seated. How dare you speak casually in front of the Saint Emperors? Who do you think the sovereigns are? Do you think they are the targets of your jokes? I think you are courting death." Lu Ming's every word was like a giant hammer that hammered the red-robed young man's heart. His face turned pale and there was no trace of blood. "No, I didn't. You are spouting nonsense. I didn't disrespect the sovereigns." The red-robed young man shook his head repeatedly with cold sweat dripping down his face. "You're still denying it? Then why don't you do as you say? If you don't do it, I'll teach you." Lu Ming roared and moved his body. He suddenly appeared in front of the red-robed young man and pressed his hand down on the red-robed young man's shoulder. This red-robed young man was a third-class prodigy with a perfected spirit embryo cultivation. He was worlds apart from Lu Ming and had no power to resist at all. Lu Ming pressed him down and they fell to the ground. Bang! After landing on the ground, the red-robed young man immediately knelt down. Next, Lu Ming pressed his head down to the ground. With a bang, the red-robed young man's face smashed into the ground and smashed the ground, causing him to eat a mouthful of dirt. Gulp! Many people in the surroundings swallowed their saliva and stared at Lu Ming with their eyes wide open. This awesome commander was too tyrannical. He really did what he said and made the red-robed young man eat dirt. Impudent! On the west side of the platform, an elder from a large force slammed the table and shouted angrily. This force was Cold Blood Hall, and the red-robed young man was a prodigy from Cold Blood Hall. Many people from Cold Blood Hall glared fiercely at Lu Ming. Calm down. Chapter 11:18. Just now, it was indeed the red-robed youth who said that if Lu Ming was below 30 years old, he would have to kneel down and eat dirt. Everyone, including the sovereigns, had heard it. Lu Ming directly used the sovereigns to suppress the red-robed youth before attacking. Cold Blood Hall could not stand up for the red-robed youth. Interesting. Interesting indeed. He's very bold. Some of the sovereigns around the platform said faintly as they looked at Lu Ming with great interest. What a good appetite. It's the first time I've seen someone who likes to eat dirt instead of delicacies. Lu Ming muttered as he stepped into the air again and came to the gate. Those from Cold Blood Hall were so angry that they almost vomited blood. Lu Yusin gritted her teeth and glared at Lu Ming with an ugly expression. On the other hand, the few young men beside Lu Yusin looked at Lu Ming with fear. They were shocked that the red-robed youth could not fight back against Lu Ming. "Girl, why are you glaring at me? Be careful or I'll spank you." Lu Ming glanced at Lu Yusin's perky butt, then laughed and walked through the gate. Lu Yusin's eyes were red. She swore to herself that if she had the chance, she would make Lu Ming regret it. Lu Ming walked through the gate and came to the front of the 18 paths. Some of the geniuses looked at Lu Ming curiously. They were all very curious. When did such a genius appear? Slowly, more and more people came to the front of the 18 paths. In the end, there were no less than 500 people, all of whom were top geniuses. Okay, let's begin. Remember, if you fly out or land on this path, you'll fail. Xueqi's voice rang out. Whoosh, whoosh. Immediately, someone rushed up. There was one person on each path. When they rushed onto the path condensed by the rainbow light, a figure appeared on the path and attacked the geniuses on the path at the same time. As the palm print blasted out, the 18 youths on the 18 paths roared and were sent flying out of the range of the rainbow light path. Failure. In an instant, all 18 youths were defeated. That's the strength of a spiritual god. It's actually the strength of a spiritual god. There are spiritual deities blocking the way. How are we going to charge through? This is too difficult. Many people's expressions changed greatly, becoming very ugly. Along the way, there were actually spirit gods obstructing them. How could those youths in the spirit embryo realm possibly charge through? Looks like a lot of people will be eliminated during the screening phase. That's indeed the case. With a spiritual deity blocking the way, how many people can charge through? That's normal. The Saint Emperor also said that only the top 10 can enter the Saint Emperor's ancient palace. So what if those spirit embryo realm geniuses manage to enter? You're just here to make up the numbers. You might as well get eliminated earlier. Around them, many people were discussing animatedly. On each of the rainbow paths, there was a figure standing with their hands behind their backs. Although they were not real, there was still a powerful aura spreading out. As long as I charge over, I might still stand a chance. Some people's eyes flickered as they began to calculate. Whoosh, whoosh. Then, another 18 people rushed up. Boom, boom. The 18 of them struck out with their palms at the same time. Their palms were like raging waves, unceasing and unending. Among them, 17 of them were directly sent flying by the palms and were eliminated. However, there was one person who was a third-class genius. Moreover, he was a powerful figure among the third-class geniuses. His cultivation was infinitely close to the spiritual deity level. He took the palm head-on, but he was not sent flying. Instead, he seized the opportunity, aimed for an opening, and executed an extremely powerful movement technique to charge through. He charged through that figure's obstruction. Haha, I've made it. I've succeeded. The young man was ecstatic as he rushed forward. However, before he could rejoice, another 3 figures condensed in front of him. Each of the 3 figures was at the first level of the spirit god realm. 3 powerful palms surged toward the young man. You can't play like this, the young man shouted as he was sent flying by the powerful palms. 3 spiritual deities. 3 spiritual deities. How are we going to pass? Many people sighed. It was already difficult to pass one, but now there were 3 on the road ahead. How was it possible to pass? It's almost impossible to pass if you're not a spiritual deity. Someone shook his head. However, there were still people who did not give up and wanted to give it a try. The facts proved that every road was the same. There was only 1 first-level spirit god at the beginning, and 3 first-level spirit gods at the end. Of course, the strength of these figures was considered ordinary among the first-level spirit gods. Many people failed. Lu Ming saw Xueqi and Shizhan of the Heavenly Corpse sect, Dongfeng Yu of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Ao2 of the Sky Demon Valley, Feng Xian, and the others fail one after another. Although their talent was considered top-notch in the Eastern Wilderness, it was very ordinary in the vast divine wilderness continent. None of the first few batches succeeded. Until the 6th batch, a second-class genius made a move. This person was an old acquaintance of Lu Ming, Sanguinarum. Sanguinarum directly sent the first spiritual deity flying with a move and rushed past. Then he faced 3 spiritual deities, but it did not cause much trouble for Sanguinarum. Sanguinarum struck out 3 times in succession and repelled the 3 figures before he rushed past. What was shocking was that before Sanguinarum reached the end, more figures condensed on the road. This time, a total of 9 figures appeared. 9 experts at the first layer of the spirit god realm. Boom, boom, boom. The 9 figures struck out a palm at the same time. The 9 palms connected, and the palm force was like a landslide. Sanguinarum's face turned serious. A bloody light flashed and condensed into a blood-red battle saber. He slashed out continuously and broke the 9 palms one by one. However, the 9 figures struck out again after the first palm strike. 9 consecutive palm strikes converged and erupted with terrifying power. The 9 figures seemed to be of one mind, and their cooperation was flawless. A sharp cry resounded. Sanguinarum directly executed bloodline fusion and transformed into a bloodwing bat. He emitted a terrifying sound wave that broke through the palm force, and then his wings were like blades that slashed out and slashed one of the figures into 2. He forcefully charged through the gap and flew forward swiftly. After he charged past the 9 figures, there were no more obstructions behind him, and his path was unobstructed. Sanguinarum became the first person to charge onto the platform. Even then, it still caused many people to have dejected expressions. The difficulty of this was too great. The joint forces of 9 first-level spirit gods were too formidable. Besides those who had broken through to the spirit god realm, who else below the spirit god realm could charge through? But now, besides second-class geniuses, no one in the younger generation had broken through to the spirit god realm. Alas, forget it. It's impossible for me to have any hope. The gap is too great. Someone shook his head and sighed with the intention of giving up. There's indeed no need. There's no hope at all. There's no need to embarrass yourself. That's right. Let's just be a spectator this time. Many people spoke and gave up successively. Humph. What a waste of time. At this moment, a cold grunt resounded as a young man stepped forward. Chapter 11-19. Nan Ming, Underworld Child. Someone whispered as they looked at him with fear. Underworld Child was rumored to be on par with the 5 giants of the central continent. However, he had never fought with any of the 5 giants before. So many people were suspicious of him. The 5 giants of the central continent were all outstanding geniuses. Not everyone could reach that level. Who would believe it without seeing it with their own eyes? Boom! Suddenly, Underworld Child's aura skyrocketed as a terrifying pressure filled the air. Then whoosh! Underworld Child turned into a ray of light as he charged forward without stopping. His speed was terrifyingly fast. In the first stage, Underworld Child rushed past the figure who had just sent out a palm strike. Underworld Child's body exploded and did not obstruct Underworld Child at all. In the second stage, 3 figures attacked at the same time, but the result was the same as the previous figure. Underworld Child rushed past the 3 figures and caused them to explode. Underworld Child's speed was not affected at all. It was as if the 3 spiritual gods were air. Underworld Child's figure was like a ray of light. In the third stage, 9 figures could not obstruct Underworld Child at all. All 9 figures exploded as well. Whoosh! Underworld Child's figure appeared on the platform. Hiss, gasps could be heard at the scene. Underworld Child was too powerful and terrifying. Ordinary first-level spiritual gods were nothing in front of him. In the eyes of many people, Underworld Child had just turned into a ray of black light and arrived on the other side in a flash. The time he used was shockingly short. Too terrifying. His strength is far beyond ordinary second-level prodigies. He has definitely reached the level of the 5 giants. Not bad. This is going to be interesting. The geniuses of the other domains will clash with the 5 giants. It will definitely be exciting. Underworld Child's strength shocked everyone. Haha, then I'll go too. A young man in a golden robe stepped out with a loud laugh. This person was golden in color. He had golden hair, golden clothes, and golden boots. His body emitted rays of golden light as if he was a small golden sun. Lion Metropolis, one of the 5 giants. Someone recognized this young man. Lion Do was from the Lion Tiger Hall, an overlord force. It was said that he was a golden lion with 90% of the bloodline of the divine beast Sun Lion. He was extremely powerful. 90% of his bloodline had almost become a pure sun god lion. However, there were almost no innate pure-blooded divine beasts in the divine wilderness continent. Those demon emperors had all transformed into pure-blooded divine beasts when they broke through to become emperors. However, this was an acquired cultivation success. There was still a huge gap between them and innate pure-blooded divine beasts. Lion Capital. Let's go together. As soon as Lion Do stepped out, another young man wearing a 5-colored feather robe also stepped out. Everyone was shocked as they recognized this young man. Kong Lin was a supreme genius of the Wanyao Mountain, an overlord force. It was said that he had 90% of the bloodline of the divine beast 5 elements peacock, and was exceptionally powerful. Similarly, they were 2 of the 5 magnates of Zhongzhou State. Among the 5 magnates of Zhongzhou State, 3 were from the human clan and 2 were from the demon clan. Kong Lin. Shurdo looked at Kong Lin and grinned. The 2 of them looked at each other and moved almost at the same time. A ray of 5-colored light and a ray of golden light respectively rushed towards a different path. Whoosh, whoosh. Almost without stopping, the light flashed past. Just like Underworld Child, the spiritual deities blocking their path were directly blasted apart. They did not stop them at all. In an instant, the 2 of them had already appeared on the opposite platform. The 5 magnates are really powerful. Many people sighed. This was the strength of the 5 magnates. Compared to them, ordinary geniuses were too far away. Even many second-class geniuses felt powerless. My hair. This poor monk is coming. A Buddhist chant that Lu Ming was very familiar with sounded. A monk with a baby face and a smile stepped out. This unscrupulous monk. Lu Ming curled his lips. Amit Ba. A crisp Buddhist chant sounded. A petite figure stepped forward and came to a path next to the unscrupulous monk. A female bodhisattva. What a beautiful female bodhisattva. Many people's eyes lit up. It was actually a nun. She was petite and wore a snow-white kasaya that was spotless. Her body was filled with holy Buddhist light, like a female bodhisattva who walked out of a painting. She was very beautiful. Even if she did not have 100,000 strands of hair, she was still peerless and holy. One could not bear to look away after taking a glance at her. What a pity! Such a peerless beauty who is not inferior to the 5 beauties is actually a female bodhisattva. Sigh. Many people sighed and felt that it was a pity. Hee, the 2 bald donkeys of the western desert are going to fight. Let me accompany you. With a sneer, a young man in a black robe with black flames all over his body stepped out and appeared on another path. Someone recognized that this person was a genius of the southern underworld. Bam, bam. On the other side, 2 tall figures stepped out at the same time, attracting everyone's attention. They were Yang Patian and Tuoba Shur of the northern plains. Haha, it's really lively. I'll go then. The unscrupulous monk smiled. His body was filled with Buddhist light, and with a flash of light, he rushed forward. At the same time, the others also moved. They turned into rays of light and rushed forward. On the way, the figures of the spirit gods were useless. The next moment, on the opposite platform, Yang Patian, Tuoba Shur, the unscrupulous monk, the female bodhisattva, and the young man covered in black flames arrived almost at the same time. Almost everyone was stunned. How is this possible? There are so many prodigies of the 5 magnates? Many people gasped and stammered. It was unbelievable. Yang Patian had long been one of the 5 magnates of the middle continent. This was not surprising. As for Tuoba Shur, he had fought with Yang Patian a few times and was already famous in the middle continent. As for the unscrupulous monk, his performance in the Sacred Mansion's secret realm of the World Academy had also spread. Everyone also treated him as one of the 5 magnates. Those 3 people were not surprising. However, the female bodhisattva and the young man covered in black flames were also terrifying. It was too shocking. Don't tell me those 2 are also as strong as the 5 magnates. How can they compete? The top 10 spots are almost all taken up. Many people sighed. First, it was the Netherchild, followed by Lion Do and Kong Lin. Now, there were 8 unfathomable existences like them in total. There were not many spots left. Next, many second-class prodigies began to step forward. Now, almost all the second-class prodigies had stepped into the spirit god realm, so such a test was naturally not difficult for them. Those second-class prodigies stepped forward one by one. Lu Ming saw Sandalwood Fairy, Jing Kongling, Kong Xian, Jun Yu, Di Shen, and others. There were also some that Lu Ming did not recognize. This time, most of the prodigies of the divine wilderness continent had come. Chapter 11:20. At this moment, a young man with an ordinary appearance stepped forward. This young man was really very ordinary. His appearance was ordinary, and his figure was ordinary as well. He had a medium build, and his face was very calm. He didn't have any overbearing arrogance, nor did he have the noble and domineering aura of a king. He was just like an ordinary young man. However, when this young man walked out, he attracted the attention of everyone. Even the monarch realm experts looked over. Because this young man was Long Chen. Long Chen was a name that everyone in the central continent knew. Because he was the well-deserved overlord of the younger generation of the central continent. He was invincible and could sweep through all his opponents. All along the way, he had never tasted defeat among those of the same generation. During the Battle of Karmic Luck, he'd stepped into the domain enlightened spirit god realm, and he was far ahead of the other 4 great figures. He was reputed to be a rare genius of the central continent in 100,000 years. No one spoke. Everyone's gazes descended onto Long Chen. They wanted to see how he would perform. Bang! Long Chen moved and took a step forward. That's right, it was just an ordinary step. Then he took another step. Just like that, he took 1 step at a time, neither hurried nor slow, and walked forward step by step. He traversed several kilometers with a single step. His speed wasn't fast. Not to mention being unable to compare to Yang Patian and the others, he couldn't even compare to second-grade prodigies. He took a few steps and arrived before the first figure. That figure slapped out with his palm. Long Chen swung his palm as well. Bang! That figure exploded into pieces. After that, Long Chen continued forward. In next to no time, he arrived before the three figures in the second stage. He swung his palm again, and the three figures exploded into pieces. After that, he continued forward and arrived before the third stage. He swung his palm again, and another 9 figures exploded at the same time. He seemed to be very relaxed and carefree. After that, he stepped onto the platform again. His speed wasn't fast, but the speed at which he passed the stage was very fast. Those figures couldn't obstruct him at all. So, in general, he surpassed most second-grade prodigies. This person is unfathomable. Lu Ming stared at Long Chen and noticed that he couldn't see through Long Chen at all. I'll go as well. Lu Ming smiled and stepped forward. He randomly chose a path and charged forward. Lu Ming's performance wasn't too shocking either. Although he managed to break through at an extremely fast speed, his speed was only average among the second-class prodigies. Therefore, he didn't cause too much of a commotion. Because Lu Ming was able to suppress Wu Tsong before, it was normal for him to have such a result. The others were not too surprised. After Lu Ming passed, several second-class heavenly legends passed the test one after another. After these second-class geniuses passed, no one else tried. The remaining third-class geniuses, and even those who were weaker, all shook their heads. There was no need for them to try, because it was impossible. All right, the screening is over, Xueqi said. With a wave of his hand, the 18 rainbow paths disappeared without a trace. At the scene, everyone's eyes fell on the platform. There were a total of 40 people on the platform. In other words, only 40 people had passed the selection. Nanming is really something. 2 of them are suspected to be on the same level as the Great Five, and 3 other second-tier prodigies. Northern Plains is also impressive. Other than Tuo Bashir, there are also 3 second-tier prodigies. I think the Western Desert is unfathomable. They have 2 suspected Great Five, but no second-tier prodigies. This isn't realistic. I don't think even the second-tier prodigies are here. I can't see how strong they are at all. Indeed, the Western Desert has always been unfathomable. They have a long history. No one knows how long ago the Western Desert Saint Monk appeared. Speaking of which, the Eastern Wilderness is really awkward. Only one the Arch passed the selection. Haha. Many people were discussing. Lu Ming looked around. It was indeed so. Central Continent had the most people. Other than him, there were a total of 27 people. 5 from Nanming, 4 from Northern Plains, and 2 from Western Desert. However, the 2 from Western Desert were unfathomable. Eastern Wilderness only had one the Arch. Eastern Wilderness? It's just a barren land. Li Lai is the weakest. How many prodigies can there be? It's already good that they have won the Arch. I heard that there's also someone called Lu Ming, who's above the Arch, but he didn't come. He didn't come. I'm afraid he's declined, so he doesn't dare to come. He used to be stronger than the Arch, but now he's probably weaker than the Arch. That's true. Let's not talk about the Eastern Wilderness. Everyone discussed and expressed their opinions. However, when the Eastern Wilderness was mentioned, they all looked at it with contempt. In the crowd, Xueqi, Ao2, Dongfang Yu, and the others' faces turned red. However, they felt helpless in their hearts. They had no choice. The Eastern Wilderness was indeed the weakest. This was an indisputable fact. They used to stand at the top of the Eastern Wilderness and were full of confidence. They thought that even if they came to Central Continent, they would be able to make a name for themselves. However, ever since they came to Central Continent, they had been dealt a heavy blow. There were too many people in Central Continent who were stronger than them. Even the Arch was only a second-tier prodigy. This made them feel dejected. I wonder what kind of name Lu Ming will make if he comes to Central Continent. He'll probably be suppressed and won't be able to do much. At this moment, Xueqi, Dongfang Yu, Ao2, and the others thought of Lu Ming. However, they thought that even if Lu Ming came, he would probably be weaker than the Arch. The Arch had comprehended the intent of space and was extremely powerful. During the Battle of Providence, Thearka's intent of space was still weak. The intent of space would become stronger as one progressed. They believed that the arch had already surpassed Lu Ming. Alright, there are 40 people in total. Now, let's begin the first round. The rules of the first round are very simple. I've already recorded the time you took to pass the selection. Now, according to the time you took to pass, you'll be divided into 2 groups. The shorter the time, the better the result. The top 20 will be in one group, and the bottom 20 will be in the other. The rule of the first round is that the bottom 20 will challenge the top 20. If they succeed, they'll advance directly. If they fail, they'll be eliminated directly. Moreover, each person can only challenge once. Those who are challenged can only accept one challenge. Xueqi announced. What? The bottom 20 will challenge the top 20? Many people's expressions changed. There was no doubt that Yang Patian, Lion Du, and the others had taken the shortest time, and those who were challenged could only accept one challenge. This meant that someone would definitely challenge Yang Patian, Lion Du, and the others. Wouldn't that mean that they would lose? Now, I'll announce the names of the bottom 20. Wu Tsong, Sanguinarum. Xueqi announced the names of the bottom 20. Those whose names were called had ugly expressions. At the same time, they began to size up those whose names were not called. I didn't expect to enter the top 20. Lu Ming smiled slightly. Apart from him, Sandalwood Fairy, Jing Kongling, the Arch, and Wu Chengkong, the second-grade prodigies that Lu Ming knew, were all in the top 20. Kong Xian, Jun Yu, and the others were in the bottom 20. Lu Yusin was also in the bottom 20. Her expression was ugly. Chapter 11:21. Yang Patian, Lion Do, Kong Lin, and Long Chen were ignored. Tuoba Shi, Unscrupulous Monk, and other powerhouses were also ignored. Challenging them was no different from admitting defeat. Besides, the Emperor God, who had mastered the space concept, was also excluded. Wu Chengkong, who had always been at the top of the second-grade prodigies, was also excluded. There were also a few others who gave off an unfathomable feeling. There were also Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling, 2 peerless beauties who were pursued by many people. Of course, no one would challenge them. There were only a few people left. Many people's gazes swept over Lu Ming and the other 2 people. Lu Ming had defeated Wu Tsong before, but Wu Tsong was considered weak among the second-grade prodigies. Besides, Lu Ming had used a treasure to block the attack of a 4th-grade spirit god. However, in such an occasion, one would not be allowed to win with a treasure. One had to rely on one's own strength. Therefore, Lu Ming was undoubtedly one of the best targets to challenge. Before we start, I'll say 2 things. First, this is only a competition. You can't kill your opponent. Second, don't rely too much on external items. You have to rely on your own strength. Xueqi announced. You, the bearded man, I challenge you. What are you doing? That bearded man is mine. Get lost, all of you. He's mine. As soon as Xueqi finished speaking, a few people stared at Lu Ming, wanting to challenge him. Hey, do you all think I'm easy to bully? There was a fierce glint in Lu Ming's eyes as he scanned the few of them. Wait a minute. This is too messy. We'll do it according to the results. Those with good results in the bottom 20 will have priority. As soon as Xueqi said that, the place quieted down. Following which, an old man walked out and reported the rankings of the following 20 people one by one. The more they reported, the uglier their faces became. Those with good results would have priority, so they would definitely challenge the weak. In other words, the last one would be the strongest. For example, Long Chen, Yang Patian, and the others. Who would challenge them at the beginning? Those who were ranked at the bottom would definitely encounter Yang Patian and the others. How could they be happy? Now let's begin. After the names were reported, Xueqi announced. I'll go first. Lu Yusin stepped out. Her results were the best among the 20 people behind her. She almost made it into the top 20. Her gaze swept over the crowd and finally landed on Lu Ming. A cold light flashed in her eyes as she said, Big Beard, I challenge you. Previously, Lu Ming did not give her any face at all, and even suppressed the cold blood hall genius in front of everyone. In Lu Yusin's view, this was a complete slap to her face. She had long wanted to teach Lu Ming a lesson. Now that there was such an opportunity, how could she miss it? Little girl, you want to challenge me? Like I said before, be careful or I'll spank you. Lu Ming grinned as his gaze swept over Lu Yusin's perky buttocks. You are courting death. Lu Yusin's face turned ugly. This guy is really courting death. Xueqi, one of the 5 magnates, emitted a cold light and murderous intent, causing those standing beside him to tremble. Everyone in the central continent knew that Xueqi had always been Lu Yusin's suitor. Since Lu Ming dared to flirt with Lu Yusin, it was obvious that Xueqi had his eyes on him. Lu Yusin challenged Lu Ming. Everyone else stepped back and stood at the edge of the platform. Only Lu Ming and Lu Yusin stood facing each other on the platform. If I don't beat you until you beg for mercy today, I'm not Lu Yusin. Lu Yusin's beautiful eyes were full of cold light. She was confident that she could defeat Lu Ming, because she had not used her full strength in the selection. Swoosh! Suddenly, Lu Yusin moved. She pounced on Lu Ming. The strange thing was that as Lu Yusin dashed out, there were more and more of her figures. 1 into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8. In the end, the platform was filled with Lu Yusin's silhouettes. There were hundreds of them, densely packed around Lu Yusin. This is the illusion demon body technique of the Dark Illusion sect. Lu Yusin has actually cultivated it to this level. How shocking! At the edge of the platform, some second-grade prodigies recognized this body technique and had a serious expression. With hundreds of silhouettes appearing all of a sudden, how could he fight back? Lu Yusin's battle strength was considered above average even among second-grade prodigies. Illusion Demon Finger. With a shout, the hundreds of silhouettes stretched out their hands at the same time. Her slender, jade-like fingers seemed slender and weak, but they exuded a power that was more terrifying than that of a divine weapon. They pierced through the void, aiming to kill Lu Ming. Swoosh! Swoosh! There were finger forces in all directions, aiming at the vital parts of Lu Ming's body. A black spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Ming Lu was from the Black Spear sect, so he had bought a black spear some time ago. It was a middle-grade level 8 spirit weapon. Swoosh! Swoosh! With a shake of the spear, streaks of black spear flowers condensed in the air and flew towards the finger forces. Bam! Bam! There was a series of collisions, and the spear flowers and finger forces disappeared. Wang! Then, the black spear radiance expanded and swept out with a force that could wipe out an army. However, Lu Yusin's body technique was indeed impressive. In the face of such an attack, the hundreds of silhouettes on the platform flashed and dodged Lu Ming's spear. Let's see how many spears you can dodge. Lu Ming held the spear and swept out continuously. The spear radiance was like a black dragon, surging on the huge platform and enveloping the entire platform. Although Lu Yusin's body technique was strong, its power was greatly reduced on such a platform. Soon, she could no longer dodge, and the silhouettes were hit by the spear radiance and dissipated. Humph! Lu Yusin snorted and advanced instead of retreating. Her figure flashed continuously at an incredible speed. Lu Ming's spear radiance was like a dragon, but he could not hit her. When she approached Lu Ming, a gray fog appeared above Lu Yusin's head. On the gray fog, there were 8 golden chakras. This was Lu Yusin's bloodline. Great dream of spring and autumn. At this moment, Lu Yusin transformed into a ball of gray fog. The gray fog expanded rapidly, shrouding Lu Ming within it. When Lu Ming was enveloped by the gray fog, the surroundings suddenly changed. Boom! The heavens and earth shook violently. Lu Ming saw an intense battle taking place in front of him. Talisman Puppet Sect. Lu Ming was shocked. The Talisman Puppet Sect was in front of him. At this moment, the yin-yang formation of the Talisman Puppet Sect was broken. The Emperor Heaven Divine Palace's army was swarming in and charging into the yin-yang mountain. At this moment, both sides were fighting a bloody battle. He saw the 9 Sons Prime, Yan Kuang-tu, being killed by Martial Monarch De, by Shijin, Du Songjue, and the others died at the hands of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace's primes. His parents, his disciples, and his friends were all turned into ashes in the bloody battle. Illusion, illusion, this is an illusion. Lu Ming took a deep breath and his eyes flickered continuously. In the Sacred Mansion's secret realm, he had entered an illusion created by an existence that surpassed the Emperor realm and almost got lost. Compared to that illusion, this illusion was too fake. How could it confuse Lu Ming? Chapter 1122. At this moment, at the edge of the platform, the geniuses, the rulers, supremes, and many other powerhouses on their seats, as well as the powerhouses in the holy city and the surrounding air, were all staring at the platform. They saw Lu Ming's figure being shrouded by the gray fog. It's Lu Yusin's dream of spring and autumn. That guy called Ming Lu is finished. The outcome has been decided. That's right. Once Lu Yusin's dream of spring and autumn is used, he can only retreat. Once he's shrouded, he'll fall into an endless illusion. Even the top 5 youths would be in danger. Lu Yusin has won. A few second-class geniuses were discussing. They knew how terrifying Lu Yusin's dream of spring and autumn was. This was Lu Yusin's bloodline's secret technique. It was very mysterious and unpredictable. After that, no one made a sound and they waited quietly. Lu Ming's eyes were tightly shut in the gray fog. However, 2 minutes later, Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes. Let's end this. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile as he shouted. The scene of the talisman puppet sex battle suddenly froze. Then, it shattered like a mirror and turned into nothingness. Lu Ming was still standing on the platform as the gray fog shrouded him. Break! Lu Ming's palm was like a sword as the 5-colored intent exploded and he slashed down. Boom! Heaven and earth shook violently as the gray fog rolled. It was constantly being destroyed by Lu Ming's true origin. In the next moment, Lu Ming took a step forward and dashed in a certain direction. He grabbed with his claw and a terrifying force suddenly erupted. In that direction, the gray fog was destroyed and Lu Yusin's figure appeared. At this moment, her eyes were wide open and her mouth was agape. Her face was filled with disbelief. His true origin condensed into a huge hand and grabbed Lu Yusin. His true origin surged in and sealed Lu Yusin's major acupoints, preventing her from circulating her true origin. As Lu Yusin was grabbed by Lu Ming, the gray fog dissipated. When the crowd saw this scene, they were stunned. Lu Yusin has been defeated and captured. What's going on? Many people did not see what had happened because of the gray fog. They thought that Lu Ming would definitely lose. However, after 2 minutes, the fog dissipated and they saw this scene. Some sovereigns and sovereigns' eyes flickered but they did not speak. They had obviously seen something. Let me go. Lu Yusin struggled hard in the true origin hand's hand. But her true origin was sealed. How could she break free with just her physical strength? Let you go? Hee, did I forget what I said? Lu Ming grinned, his eyes darting all over Lu Yusin's body. Lu Yusin stared at Lu Yusin. What do you want? Of course it's to spank you. Sue. Is your will. King Sovereign's you. How? Ha. Lu Yusin glared at Lu Ming angrily. Her threat was self-evident. You dare to threaten me? You're asking for a beating. With a thought, he controlled his true origin and grabbed Lu Yusin. Then, he slapped Lu Yusin's round buttocks. Smack. A clear and crisp sound echoed throughout the entire area. Lu Ming's palm slapped Lu Yusin's but hard, causing her but to tremble violently in front of everyone's eyes. Silence. The scene suddenly fell into a dead silence. Countless people stared at the scene with their mouths open. He hit Lu Yusin's butt. After a long time, someone stammered, but he couldn't finish his sentence. They couldn't believe it. The peerless beauty Lu Yusin, who was capable of causing the downfall of nations, was actually being spanked in front of everyone. This was simply inconceivable. How could this Ming Lu be so daring? Lu Yusin was one of the 5 peerless beauties of Zhongzhou State. Of course, more people were envious. Whether young or old, they were envious. Some even had red eyes. They also wanted to slap one of the 5 great beauties of Zhongzhou State, but they didn't dare to. Pervert. Lecher. A woman scolded and looked at Lu Ming with disdain. You're courting death. A loud roar was heard, and a terrifying murderous intent erupted. A golden light soared into the sky. Xueqi looked at Lu Ming with murderous intent, wishing he could tear Lu Ming into pieces. As everyone knew, Xueqi had been pursuing Lu Yusin. Since Lu Ming dared to treat Lu Yusin like this, he naturally wished he could kill Lu Ming. At this time, Lu Yusin was also stunned. She stared at Lu Ming in a daze. After a long while, she let out an earth-shattering scream. She was actually being treated like this by Lu Ming in front of everyone. She wished there was a hole in the ground and she could crawl into it. You're dead. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Lu Yusin screamed and struggled desperately. What are you screaming for? How dare you threaten me? Hit me again. Lu Ming scolded and slapped her again. The clear and melodious voice once again echoed throughout the entire area. Everyone's eyes were about to explode, especially the men. They were so envious that their eyes turned red. Some of them were so excited that they were trembling. It was as if they had replaced Lu Ming to teach Lu Yusin a lesson. Commander! Commander, Tai Xing and the other members of the law-enforcing army were completely speechless. They knew that Lu Ming was awesome, but this was too awesome. Even some of the sovereigns and supreme beings at the table felt their eyelids twitching. How dare you? A supreme being from the Serene Fantasy sect couldn't hold it in any longer. He shouted and his supreme being aura spread. However, he was immediately stopped by the sovereigns of the Serene Fantasy sect. Today was the ancient Saint Dynasty's million-year sacrifice ceremony. Many experts had gathered. Besides, Lu Ming and Lu Yusin were having a fair fight on the fighting stage. It wasn't appropriate for them to interfere. Ming, you're dead. The golden light on Sherdou's body shone brighter, and terrifying murderous intent shrouded Lu Ming. What are you screaming for? Who are you? Shut the hell up. Lu Ming stared coldly at the lion. He was stunned and berated. The lion was enraged. It almost dashed out to kill Lu Ming. In the end, he held it in. With so many sovereigns here, he didn't dare to break the rules. You still dare to threaten me? Lu Ming looked at Lu Yusin again. I'm going to kill you, Lu Yusin screamed. Smack. Another slap was sent down, and Lu Yusin's scream stopped abruptly. The surrounding people were already numb. This awesome commander is too awesome. He's already defying the heavens. He's completely lawless and audacious. Where did this Ming Lu come from? I've never heard of him before. He seems to have appeared out of nowhere. First, he suppressed Wu Tsong. Now, he's treating Lu Yusin like this. To be honest, I'm really impressed. A Sky Pride spoke. He looked very simple and honest. Everyone recognized that he was a Sky Pride from the soldier manner. I'm haired. I'm envious. A Buddhist chant was heard. Everyone was stunned because the person who said he was envious was the heartless monk. However, you're just a monk. What are you envious of? Do you want to go up and have a try? Many people were speechless. Amitba. Chapter 11:23. Are you still threatening me? Lu Ming continued to stare at Lu Yusin. Lu Yusin bit her lips. This time, she did not dare to speak. That's right. I've already warned you twice, but you didn't listen. Little girl, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your elders. Don't hold a grudge. I'm doing this for your own good. Lu Ming spoke eloquently, as if he was an elder lecturing a junior. Coupled with his big beard, he looked like he was in his 40s. He really did have that kind of aura. Lu Yusin could only glare at Lu Ming hatefully. She did not dare to say a word, but she could not wait to cut Lu Ming into pieces. She hated it. In the future, when others saw her, they would definitely think of this bearded man. All right, that's all for today. Behave yourself in the future. Don't be so arrogant. With that, Lu Ming waved his hand and Lu Yusin flew out. When she flew out of the platform, Lu Ming had already unsealed the quintessential essence in her body. Lu Yusin's quintessential essence spread out. She glanced at Lu Ming with murderous intent, then flew to the seats of the Xuanhuan sect without saying a word. Ming Lu wins this battle. An elder from the Imperial Xie family announced. Lu Ming grinned and walked to the side of the platform. This big brother is amazing. I'm impressed. At the side, Monk Wuliang put his palms together, his face full of admiration. This made the hearts of the people around him twitch. Is this monk really a holy monk of the Western Desert? Haha, master, you're exaggerating, Lu Ming said casually. However, he did not dare to underestimate this monk Wuliang. He felt that this monk was unfathomable. Next, the competition continued. A Sky Pride from Nanming stepped forward. His ranking was second only to Lu Yusin. This person chose a Sky Pride who was slightly weaker. Unfortunately, he still lost and followed in Lu Yusin's footsteps. Next, the challenges continued one after another. The next two contestants were very strong. They both won. However, from the fifth challenge onwards, the challengers began to lose. Kong Xian challenged Wu Chengkong and was defeated. Wu Chengkong's cultivation had actually reached the second level of spirit god. Wu Chengkong must have made another breakthrough during this period of time. Two people challenged Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kong Ling, but they both failed. Sandalwood Fairy used her body to carve a formation. The peerless killing formation within her body erupted, and it was extremely powerful. In addition to his alchemy skills, his combat prowess was astonishing. Pure emptiness had comprehended 3 different mentalities. The combination of the 3 mentalities was mysterious and unpredictable. His battling power was also very strong. It would not be difficult for him to defeat his opponent. Immediately, someone challenged Di Shen. The concept of space was truly worthy of being called the king of concepts. The further one cultivated it, the more astonishing its power was. In the end, Di Shen defeated his opponent and maintained his position in the top 20. Soon, only Long Chen, Yang Patian, and Unscrupulous Monk were left. The faces of the remaining 9 people who had yet to issue a challenge were extremely ugly. Some people were really unwilling to accept it. After picking and choosing, they finally chose Monk Wuliang. This fellow didn't seem reliable. Perhaps his battle prowess wasn't strong enough? Then, the second-class prodigy who had issued the challenge was sent flying off the platform by Heartless Monk. He won in one move. The difference was too great. The remaining 8 people sighed. Knowing that it was meaningless to challenge him, they all admitted defeat. The first round was over. There were 20 people left. Everyone looked at Xueqi, wanting to know the rules of the next round. Would it be a one-on-one battle again? In the second round, let's decide the winner and the loser in one fell swoop. Xueqi said, the 20 of you will fight in a free-for-all on the platform. You can fight however you want. The score will be calculated according to the time you stay on the platform. The longer you stay on the platform, the better your score will be. In the end, the top 10 and top 3 will be determined. A free-for-all? Everyone was shocked. Xueqi had actually used a free-for-all method to let the 20 prodigies on the platform fight to determine the winner. This made the situation complicated. A free-for-all was not a one-on-one battle. They could join forces or form alliances. The situation was ever-changing. Now let's begin. Xueqi's voice spread across the entire platform. Whoosh, whoosh. As soon as Xueqi's voice fell, a figure on the platform moved away from the people around him and stared at the others cautiously. Everyone was an enemy except for himself. No one could guarantee that no one would suddenly attack him. Only Long Chen looked calm and indifferent. He stood there casually and looked straight ahead as if he did not care at all. On the platform, everyone looked at each other and the atmosphere became extremely tense. Yang Patian, let's continue to fight. Today, we must decide the winner. A loud roar broke the silence. Tuobashir held the mace in his hand and charged towards Yang Patian. That's what I want. I'll defeat you today. The sky halberd appeared in Yang Potion's hand. He took a step forward and charged towards Tuobashir. Boom! The sky halberd and the sky halberd collided heavily. The space was torn apart and a terrifying force swept out in all directions. Third-level spirit god. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Yang Patian and Tuobashir's cultivation had indeed broken through to the third-level spirit god. They were stronger than when they were in the secret realm of the Saint Mansion. Such prodigies were terrifying. Not only were their combat strength shocking, but their cultivation speed was also terrifying. Boom, boom, boom. The two exchanged more than 10 blows and the entire world seemed to be trembling. So powerful. The second-class prodigies were shocked when they saw this scene. Was this the strength of the young tycoons? They were too powerful. How could they compete with them? Western Desert Bald Donkeys. I won't fight for a while. Let's see if your strength has improved. The young man covered in black flames stared at Monk Wuliang and the female Bodhisattva. Little dog on fire. I'll fulfill your wish. Monk Wuliang took a step forward and his body was covered in golden light. A golden palm print blasted towards the young man covered in black flames. The black flames on the young man's body burned fiercely. It was terrifying as if they were flames from hell. Boom, boom. Monk Wuliang and the young man covered in black flames exchanged a few blows. The flames and the golden light split the world into 2 sides. The others on the side retreated far away. Fortunately, the platform was big enough and sturdy. Otherwise, The others would not have a place to stand. The commotion caused by the battle between the two was not any smaller than the battle between Yang Patian and Tuoba Shur. Amitba. The female bodhisattva of the western desert chanted the name of Buddha and stepped forward. With every step she took, a golden lotus would appear under her feet. It was holy and beautiful. Her target was the underworld child. The western desert and southern underworld had been enemies since ancient times. One was Buddha and the other was evil. The prodigies of the two domains naturally knew each other and had fought many times in the past. This time, they naturally clashed as soon as they met. Chapter 11:24. As soon as the competition began, the Western Desert and Nanming Continent prodigies started fighting. Yang Patian and Tuoba Shur were engaged in a fierce battle. While the 6 prodigies were engaged in an intense battle, the rest did not move. Long Chen stood there calmly. His expression was indifferent and his aura was calm. There did not seem to be anything special about him. However, everyone took the initiative to distance themselves from him. Naturally, no one would be courting death by attacking him. Among the remaining prodigies, only Lion Do and Kong Lin were left. Both of them scanned the second-class prodigies coldly. Especially Lion Do. His cold and murderous gaze swept past Lu Ming from time to time. The remaining second-class prodigies were wary of each other and distanced themselves from each other. Brother Lion, Brother Kong, I have a suggestion. Why don't we team up and defeat all of them? That way, there will only be 10 of us left. Wu Chengkong walked toward Lion Do and suggested. Then, he scanned all the second-class prodigies, including Lu Ming. The second-class prodigies' expressions changed when they heard that. There were a total of 9 prodigies on the platform. Including Wu Chengkong, there were 10 of them. Wu Chengkong's intention was obvious. Once everyone was defeated, he would be able to secure a spot in the top 10. Lion Do and Kong Lin's eyes flashed as they scanned the crowd. All right, we'll do as you say. Lion Do said. Lion Tiger Hall was on good terms with Tianwu Sword Sect. Lion Do was also on good terms with Wu Chengkong. That was why he agreed to Wu Chengkong's suggestion. Another reason was that it would be beneficial for them to leave the top 10 on the platform earlier. The prodigies would definitely fight for the top 10. However, if they fought now and someone lost, wouldn't they fall out of the top 10 and be taken advantage of by the second-class prodigies? If they could secure a spot in the top 10, they would be able to fight to their heart's content. Even if they lost, they could still enter the Sacred Emperor Ancient Palace to comprehend. Kong Lin had obviously thought of that too. His eyes flashed as he said, I agree too. All right, Kong Lin. Let's team up and get rid of these trash. Lion Do sneered and his eyes were cold. The second-class prodigy's expressions turned ugly. Wu Chengkong, you're despicable. Damn it. Everyone, I suggest we team up. Otherwise, we'll all lose. All right, I agree. Let's work together. Several second-class geniuses spoke one after another. In a flash, 6 second-class geniuses gathered together, intending to join forces against Shi Do, Kong Lin, and Wu Chengkong. However, Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling did not follow them. The 2 peerless fairies gathered together and retreated to the side. In addition, Di Shin did not gather with them. His figure flickered and he retreated. Of course, it was impossible for Lu Ming to meet up with them. You guys, why aren't you coming over? Do you want to be defeated by them one by one? A young man shouted coldly as he glanced at Di Shan and Lu Ming. You don't have to worry about me. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Humph. Stubborn. You think you have some strength, so you're getting carried away. Let's see how you'll be defeated. The young man scolded Lu Ming. He was very unhappy that Lu Ming did not join them. Do it. Lion opened his mouth and stared at Lu Ming first. Brother Lion, you don't have to do anything for this guy. I'll take him down. Wu Chengkong said as he stared at Lu Ming. All right. The Saint Emperor said that we can't kill him, but that's all. You know what to do now, right? Lion Do pondered for a moment and nodded. Don't worry, I'll break his limbs and bones. I guarantee that he won't be able to get out of bed for half a year. Wu Chengkong revealed a sinister smile. Now that he had broken through to the second-level spirit god realm, his combat strength had increased tremendously. He was full of confidence and did not take Lu Ming seriously at all. Bam, bam. He took a few steps forward and the sword chi on his body whistled as he closed in on Lu Ming. How dare you injure the elites of Sky Martial Sword Sect? I'll let you know the consequences now. Wu Chengkong's voice was extremely cold and his eyes were as sharp as a sword. Smashing Sky Martial Sword Sect. It seems like you don't learn your lesson. This time, I'll teach you a lesson. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He took a step forward and struck at Wu Chengkong. Clang! The sword aura let out a long cry. Wu Chengkong unsheathed his combat sword and a sharp sword aura slashed toward Lu Ming. His cultivation had broken through to the second-level spirit god realm and his combat strength was much stronger than when he was in the Sacred Mansion secret realm. The sword chi cut through the void and slashed at Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming's palm struck Wu Chengkong's sword chi and shattered it. At the same time, his palm continued to strike. Clang! When the palm landed on the sword, there was a loud explosion. The battle sword trembled non-stop. Wu Chengkong felt as if he had been hit by an ancient divine mountain. He could feel a terrifying force surging towards him, causing his body to involuntarily retreat. How is this possible? Wu Chengkong roared. His eyes filled with disbelief. He had been forced back by Lu Ming's palm strike. He was already one of the top second-grade prodigies. Now, he was ahead of the other second-grade prodigies and was the first to reach the second-level spirit god realm. His combat strength was so strong that he was almost invincible among the giants. But now, he had been forced back by Lu Ming's palm strike. It was hard for him to accept. The surrounding spectators were also shocked beyond words. This bearded commander's combat strength had exceeded their expectations. Could he really be a match for Wu Chengkong? Boom! Boom! At this moment, Shi Dou and Kong Lin had already made their moves. The two of them displayed their terrifying combat strength and attacked the 6 second-grade prodigies like a storm. Although the 6 second-grade prodigies tried their best to resist, they were still at a disadvantage. This showed the terrifying combat strength of a giant prodigy. Dong! Lu Ming took a step forward and the entire platform rumbled. His true yuan surged as he used the suppressing hell skill. Every move he made contained terrifying power. He instantly appeared in front of Wu Chengkong and punched out a few times. The punches carried endless power. The sky shook and groaned as if it could not withstand Lu Ming's punches. How can he be so strong? Wu Chengkong was terrified. He unleashed all his strength and slashed out shocking sword chi with his battle sword. But all of them were suppressed and defeated by Lu Ming's punches. Lu Ming was like a hot knife through butter. Wu Chengkong was forced back. His body trembled and he vomited blood. Explode! Explode! Wu Chengkong activated his bloodline and transformed into a battle sword as he retreated. But it was useless. Lu Ming's punches were too powerful and suppressed everything. Clang! 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 The punches landed on the battle sword. After 7 punches, the battle sword that Wu Chengkong had transformed into exploded. Wu Chengkong's body reappeared and he was vomiting blood. His face was pale. Defeated, Wu Chengkong was defeated. This result was beyond many people's expectations. Although Lu Ming had defeated Wu Tsong was considered weak among the second-grade prodigies. Wu Chengkong, on the other hand, was a top second-grade prodigy who had broken through to the second-level spirit god realm. His combat strength was much stronger than Wu Tsong's. At first, no one thought that Lu Ming would be a match for Wu Chengkong. This commander of the law enforcement troop is really unexpected. Some of the older generation exclaimed. Chapter 1125. Smack! Lu Ming rushed over and slapped Wu Chengkong's face. Wu Chengkong let out a blood-curdling scream as his body slammed into the platform. His head was like a hammer, causing the platform to rumble. Wu Chengkong felt his head buzzing. He was completely dumbfounded. Crack! Then, a piercing pain came from his left leg, waking him up. My leg! He screamed. Lu Ming stomped on one of his legs, breaking all the bones. Crack! Then, Lu Ming stomped on his right leg, breaking it. Wu Chengkong screamed as he broke out in cold sweat. What are you screaming for? Didn't you say you were going to break all my limbs and bones? If that's the case, I'll let you have a taste. Lu Ming scolded as he formed a long spear in his hand. He swept it across Wu Chengkong's arms, breaking all the bones in his arms. This was not an ordinary bone break. It contained Lu Ming's terrifying vital essence. Wu Chengkong's vital essence vibrated, shattering all the bones in his arms. Even with Wu Chengkong's powerful cultivation and physical strength, he would not be able to recover in a few months. In the spectator stands, the Tianwu sword sect's upper echelons looked extremely gloomy. Some of them wanted to rush up and chop Lu Ming into pieces. However, they could only endure it in such a situation. Your screams are so fucking unpleasant. You sound like a pig being slaughtered. Get lost. In the end, Lu Ming kicked Wu Chengkong, sending him flying off the platform. Of course, the last kick had also shattered all the bones in Wu Chengkong's body. It would be difficult for him to recover in less than half a year. In a battle between geniuses, every second mattered. Wu Chengkong would probably be overtaken by other geniuses in half a year's time. A disciple of the celestial martial sword sect flew out and caught Wu Chengkong, carrying him to the spectator stand. An elder of the celestial martial sword sect fed Wu Chengkong a healing pellet. That thief is so ruthless. The Tianwu sword sect's elder gnashed his teeth in hatred. Lu Ming was too ruthless. He had shattered all the bones in Wu Chengkong's body. Not a single bone was left intact. It would be difficult to recover in a short period of time. At this moment, the battle on the platform became even more intense. Lu Ming had defeated Wu Chengkong, while Sherdou and Kong Lin were about to win as well. One of the 6 second-class prodigies had already been knocked off the platform. That trash! Seeing that Wu Chengkong had been defeated, Sherdou could not help but yell. Then, he let out a wild roar as his body shone with a dazzling golden light. In the next moment, Sherdou transformed into his true form. It was a golden lion, 5 meters tall and more than 10 meters long. Its entire body was covered in golden fur, and there were even golden flames dancing on its fur. Sun Lion. Lion Do had 90% of the Sun God Lion's bloodline. He was almost a pure-blooded Sun God Lion. As long as he broke through to become a ruler, he would be able to transform into a real Sun God Lion. Roar! Sherdou let out a loud roar. Now that he had transformed into his true form, he was even more terrifying. With a loud roar, the heavens and earth shook, and the clouds in the sky were scattered. With a slap of his huge paw, a second-class prodigy was sent flying off the platform. He spat out a mouthful of blood. The difference was too great. One move was enough to seriously injure him. The second-class prodigies who were able to enter the top 20 were all elites among the second-class prodigies. However, they were still no match for Sherdou. Roar! Sherdou let out a loud roar. His golden flames surged as his combat strength exploded. 2 more prodigies were sent flying. The remaining 2 were sent flying by Kong Lin's 2 slaps. In this way, the 6 second-class prodigies were all defeated, including Wu Chengkong, who was sent flying by Lu Ming. A total of 7 prodigies were defeated. There were only 13 left on the platform. As long as 3 more prodigies were defeated, the top 10 would be born. Sherdou's cold gaze first fell on Lu Ming. On the other side, Kong Lin's gaze first swept across Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling, then landed on Di Shen. Sherdou, leave Di Shen to me and Ming Lu to you. How about we take one each? Kong Lin said. That's exactly what I want. Sherdou said. At this moment, Kong Lin's gaze fell on Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling. He smiled and said, Sandalwood Fairy, after I take care of Di Shen and Ming Lu, there will only be 11 prodigies left on the platform. I'll have to ask Miss Kongling to step down. This way, you can also enter the top 10. Kong Lin was one of Sandalwood Fairy's admirers. Naturally, he would seize the opportunity to court her. Is that so? Are you that confident, young Master Kong? Don't tell me you can't do it? Sandalwood Fairy squinted her eyes and smiled. Ha ha ha, can't do it? Other than the prodigies, no one can escape from me. Kong Lin smiled and suddenly moved. A 5-colored light flashed as he pounced at Di Shen. His speed was terrifying. Kong Lin's true form was a peacock. He had 90% of the 5 elements peacock's bloodline and his speed was unparalleled. However, his opponent was Di Shen. He was the king of space and was also good at speed. Whoosh! Whoosh! Di Shen didn't fight with Kong Lin. Instead, he used the instant step to dodge Kong Lin's attack. The 2 of them chased each other and their speed was astonishing. They kept flashing on the platform. It was hard to tell who was the winner. Second-level Spirit God. Di Shen has also reached the second-level Spirit God. Someone exclaimed as he saw Di Shen's cultivation. Eastern Wilderness finally has a decent prodigy. Although he's not as strong as the prodigies, he's one of the best among the second-tier prodigies. Someone commented. Di Shen had comprehended the space intent and had reached the second-level spirit god. He was already at the peak of the second-tier prodigies. Perhaps even Wu Chengkong was no match for him. Roar! When the lion roared, it stomped on the ground and pounced toward Lu Ming. The golden claw radiance was like a golden heavenly saber that tore the space apart. Dragon power! With a thought, the 7 dragon powers in his body exploded. There was a purple glow on Lu Ming's body. However, there was no scale armor. Therefore, the head of the Wang family and the head of the Zhang family could not recognize Lu Ming. Lu Ming's power was even more shocking. At the same time, he punched out with the 5-colored intent. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Ming Lu wants to fight Sherdou head-on. He's overestimating himself. That's right. His combat power is indeed strong. However, there's still a big gap between him and a prodigy. It's unwise to fight him head-on. Many people initially thought that Lu Ming would learn from the arch and try his best to retreat and stall for time. As long as he waited for the battle between Xiemo and Nan Ming, or Yang Patian and Tuo Bashir to emerge victorious, he would be able to enter the top 10. They didn't expect that Lu Ming would choose to fight Sherdou head-on. Wasn't it suicide to fight a prodigy head-on? 5-colored intent. He has comprehended 5 intents. On the spectator stand, the Wang and Zhang family leaders were shocked. Previously, they had seen Lu Ming comprehend 4 types of intents. That was already the highest number of intents they had seen someone comprehend. But now they actually saw someone comprehend 5 types of intents. They didn't think that Ming Lu was Lu Ming. Firstly, they had seen Lu Ming outside the Talisman Puppet sect. It was impossible for him to be in the Central Continent. Secondly, Lu Ming had only comprehended 4 intents in the Battle of Providence. It was too difficult for him to comprehend new intents at such a high cultivation. Chapter 1126. Boom! Lu Ming's fist and Lion Dou's golden claw collided heavily. Suddenly, 5-colored light and golden light burst out, forming a 6-colored light pillar that soared into the sky. Terrifying waves of air rushed out in all directions. Bang! Bang! The 2 figures retreated simultaneously, each retreating 100 meters and facing each other. It was a draw. This move was a draw. This made many people dumbfounded. This Ming Lu could actually block Lion Dou's move. Although he was pushed back, he still pushed Lion Dou back. Wasn't this too strong? Could it be that Ming Lu was also a giant-level Heaven's Pride? Everyone's hearts kept twitching. Since when were giant-level Heaven's Pride so worthless? Lion Dou himself was also very shocked, but this aroused his fierceness even more. Die! With a loud roar, the golden flames on Lion Dou's body jumped dozens of meters high. The terrifying heat seemed to be able to melt everything, causing the space to distort and even directly burn through, revealing a dark space. His aura also became more violent and more shocking. The sun god lion's bloodline in his body began to boil, as if it was about to turn into a golden sun. Peak 2nd level spirit god. Lion Dou's cultivation was peak 2nd level spirit god. Ming Lu, we're both 2nd level spirit god. I'll let you understand the difference between you and me. Lion Dou said coldly, looking at Lu Ming with a very cold gaze. Just now, Lu Ming's cultivation was 2nd level spirit god. Who said I'm 2nd level spirit god? Lu Ming smiled faintly. In the next moment, boom! A violent aura rushed out from Lu Ming's body, vast and mighty. 3rd level spirit god. At this moment, Lu Ming's cultivation was 3rd level spirit god. What? This Ming Lu's cultivation is 3rd level spirit god? How is this possible? Nestle, he's too strong. This guy has been hiding his strength all along. Isn't this too abnormal? The eruption of Lu Ming's cultivation caused an uproar in all directions. Lu Ming's cultivation had actually reached the terrifying 3rd level of the spirit god realm. When he tested his bone age earlier, his age clearly hadn't reached 25 years old yet. Being able to reach the 3rd level of the spirit god realm before the age of 25 was too shocking and terrifying. Even some of the supremes and rulers in the spectator stands were surprised. Sacred Emperor, I never thought that there would be such a peerless genius hidden within the imperial family. Truly admirable. A ruler spoke. Xueqi Tian's eyes were filled with surprise. To think that there was such a prodigy in the law enforcement army, and he hadn't noticed it before. As for 8th Prince Xie, his eyes were filled with disbelief. Never in his wildest dreams had he imagined that this Ming Lu, the lowly ant he had demoted to the law enforcement army, was actually so terrifying. If this person had wanted to kill him before, he would have died long ago. In the crowd, Shi Zheng and Shi Feng, whose cultivation had been crippled, were pale and bloodless. The eruption of Lu Ming's cultivation had also shocked the other prodigies on the platform. Yang Patian, Tuoba Shi, Underworld Child, and the other prodigies who were fighting felt Lu Ming's powerful aura, and a trace of seriousness appeared in their eyes. As for Lion Do himself, he was even more shocked. 3rd level of the spirit god realm? How is this possible? Lion Do roared. Lion Do, I heard that you're ranked 5th among the 5 giants of the central continent. Although you're a little weak, your appearance is not bad, similar to my little gold. I'll reluctantly take you as my mount. Lu Ming stepped forward with a wild aura. The little gold he was talking about was King Kong, the golden tiger that Lu Ming had taken down in the Battle of Providence. Everyone was shocked. This awesome commander actually wanted to take Lion Do as his mount? This was simply wishful thinking, arrogant, and ignorant. You're courting death. Don't think that I can't do anything to you just because your cultivation has reached the 3rd level of the spirit god realm. Lion Do was furious, and his lungs were about to explode. Lion Do was destined to become an emperor in the future, but this bearded man actually wanted to take him as his mount. He deserved to die. So what if he was at the 3rd level of the spirit god realm? It was common for Lion Do to fight above his level. The sun god Lion's blood boiled, and Lion Do seemed to have completely turned into a golden sun that suppressed Lu Ming. Boom! The true essence of the 3rd level of the spirit god realm in his body boiled and surged like a tsunami. He activated the heaven-suppressing hell skill, coupled with the intent realm and dragon power, and blasted towards the golden sun. An earth-shattering explosion sounded, and everyone was shocked to find that the golden sun was sent flying. On the other hand, Lu Ming's body only swayed a little. Kill! Then, Lu Ming shouted and rushed towards Lion Do, launching a storm of attacks. Lion Do let out a long roar. The lion's roar shook the heavens, causing the space to ripple like water. Sanguinarum also knew the sound wave technique, but he was not even worthy of carrying Lion Do's shoes. Lu Ming punched with both fists, breaking Lion Do's sound wave technique, and the fist energy landed heavily on Lion Do's body. Dong! Dong! Lion Do's body was as hard as diamond and exuded a terrifying heat, but he still howled in pain under Lu Ming's fists. Everyone gasped. Lion Do was at a disadvantage. I forgot to tell you that I have never lost in a battle of the same level, not to mention that you are 1 level lower than me. Lu Ming's voice was full of confidence. On the other side of the platform, Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling's eyes were shining. Why do I feel that his aura is very familiar? Sandalwood Fairy mumbled. I also feel that it is very familiar. There is an invincible confidence that is very similar to Lu Shaoqing's. Jing Kongling also said. Lu Shaoqing seems to be very good at disguising himself. Could this person be Lu Shaoqing? Sandalwood Fairy seemed to have thought of something as she covered her mouth and whispered. Jing Kongling didn't say anything, but watched the battle carefully. Endless sun. The lion was suppressed by Lu Ming and it felt extremely aggrieved. It roared crazily, revealing its terrifying abilities to the fullest. Lion Do was indeed very strong. He had 90% of the Sun Lion's bloodline, which was comparable to a human martial artist who had awakened a level 9 divine bloodline. His combat strength was extremely terrifying. Killing opponents who were a few levels above him was as easy as eating and drinking. If it was an ordinary 2nd level spirit god martial artist or demonic beast, Lu Ming could kill him with one slap. But now, Lu Ming had unleashed the true essence of a 3rd level spirit god. 7 dragon powers, and wills. He could only gain the upper hand. It would take some effort to defeat Lion Do. Lu Ming was amazed. Lion Do was already so powerful with 90% of a divine beast's bloodline. How terrifying would it be if there was a pure blood divine beast? A 90% bloodline was fundamentally different from a pure blood divine beast. The gap was huge. According to ancient legends, pure-blood divine beasts had once appeared in the divine wilderness continent. Born divine beasts were invincible once they were born. Among their peers, no one could defeat them. Even a peerless genius who had awakened a level 9 divine bloodline was still far from being a match for them and would be suppressed. It was said that a pure-blood divine beast could reach the Emperor realm with just a little bit of cultivation. Its talent was too strong. Chapter 11:27. What are you shouting for? Fight! Lu Ming raised his fists and kept punching at Lion Do. Lion Do roared and used all his skills, but it was useless. He was defeated by Lu Ming's fists, which landed heavily on his body. Lion Do's huge body trembled like a drum. Its soft golden fur was beaten into a mess. In the end, it broke off and danced on the platform, causing the platform to be covered in golden light. I can't waste it. Lu Ming waved his sleeve and kept the golden fur that fell from Lion Do's body. It was an extraordinary treasure. If it was woven into a robe, it would have a strong defensive ability that was impenetrable by water and fire. Some people in the crowd were envious. Such golden fur was a rare treasure. Roar! Lion Do roared in shame and anger. He wanted to bite Lu Ming to death. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it and was beaten back by Lu Ming. In the end, Lu Ming rode on Lion Do's body and punched him. Lion Do roared and howled in grief. He even rolled on the ground, but it was useless. He couldn't get rid of Lu Ming. Every punch of Lu Ming's was extremely powerful. It suppressed everything and kept hitting Lion Do's body. Lion Do felt that his bones were about to break and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. Demonic beasts had extremely strong bodies, especially those with 90% divine beast bloodline like him. His body was even stronger. However, he couldn't withstand Lu Ming's iron fists. Bang! In the end, Lion Do lay on the ground heavily and gasped for breath. Lion Do was defeated. That was the thought that flashed through everyone's mind. Before this battle, no one would have thought that Lion Do would be defeated by the strange commander of the law enforcement army. It was like a fantasy story. However, that was the truth. Although Lion Do was ranked last among the 5 giants of the central continent, no one dared to underestimate his strength. Those second-class geniuses could only be crushed by Lion Do. However, he was no match for the commander of the law enforcement army. How about it? Are you convinced now? Be my mount. Lu Ming stood on top of Leo and looked down at him. Roar! Lion Do roared madly, leaped into the sky, and rushed out of the platform. Even if he lost, he would drag Lu Ming down with him. Forget it, I'll let you off this time. Lu Ming's body moved and flew backward. He kicked Lion Do's butt and sent him flying far away, landing outside the platform. Lion City was defeated. Lion Do let out a long roar as if he wanted to vent the depression in his heart. After roaring a dozen times, he transformed back into his human form and went to the seat of the Lion Tiger Hall. His face was extremely gloomy. He actually failed to enter the top 10 and was eliminated. It was mainly because he had to deal with Lu Ming, which led to his early elimination. At this moment, there were only 12 people left on the platform. Kong Lin continued to chase after the Monarch God, but the Monarch God used the space concept and avoided Kong Lin's attacks with all his might. With the Monarch God's cultivation and the space concept's profundity, Kong Lin still couldn't catch up to the Monarch God even though he was fast. Whoosh! At this moment, Kong Lin stopped and did not continue to pursue the Emperor God. Instead, he looked at Lu Ming with a grave expression. It was completely out of his expectations that Lion Do didn't defeat Lu Ming, but was defeated by Lu Ming. At this moment, the situation was in a stalemate again. Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling teamed up and stood on the side of the platform. Long Chen had been standing there since the start of the battle. Kong Lin couldn't catch up to the Monarch God and was wary of Lu Ming. He was also Sandalwood Fairy's admirer, so he naturally wouldn't attack Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling. As for the Monarch God, he obviously planned to use the advantage of the space concept to delay as much as possible until the others were defeated and enter the top 10. Therefore, he wouldn't attack first. Yang Patian and Tuo Bashir were still fighting fiercely. The battle between Western Desert and Southern Ming was even more intense. At this point in the battle, the difference in strength had been revealed. Unscrupulous monk was fighting a youth covered in black flames. At this moment, the youth in black flames had transformed into his true form, which turned out to be a demonic beast. He looked almost the same as the legendary Cerberus. The youth in black flames had 90% of the Cerberus bloodline and was extremely powerful. Each of the 3 heads could launch a different attack. Black flames filled the air, but there wasn't the slightest bit of heat. Instead, It gave people a feeling of extreme coldness. It was as if this flame could freeze one's soul. This was the hell flame. The Cerberus was very strong, but Unscrupulous Monk was stronger. Unscrupulous Monk looked solemn and dignified. His body was covered in golden light, and a golden Buddha floated above his head. Rings of Buddha's light were emitted, suppressing the Cerberus. The Cerberus was completely suppressed by the golden Buddha's light, and it was in a very difficult situation. On the other side, the battle between the underworld child and the female bodhisattva was also very intense. However, the underworld child was indeed very powerful. He was called the underworld child and was the strongest person in Southern Ming's generation. He was even stronger than the Cerberus. His underworld chi filled the sky and suppressed the female bodhisattva. However, the Buddhist sect's martial skills were very mysterious and had both offense and defense. The female bodhisattva used the bloodline fusion technique and turned into a real female Buddha. Buddha's light filled the air and formed a Buddha's wall. Although she was at a disadvantage, she was still able to withstand the attacks. So strong. Each of them is stronger than Lion City, and they are all in the third-level spirit god realm. Lu Ming's gaze swept across the battlefield and he saw through everyone's cultivation base. The Western Desert and Southern Ming's four great geniuses were the same as Yang Patian and Tuoba Shi. They were all in the third-level spirit god realm, and their battle strength was above Lion City's. Stinky dog, lose for me. Unscrupulous Monk became more and more courageous as the battle went on. His battle strength was unfathomable, and he completely suppressed the Cerberus. The Cerberus tried his best to resist, and at the same time, he scanned the battlefield with his spiritual consciousness. This can't go on. There are still 12 people on the battlefield. If this continues, I will be defeated by this bald donkey, and I won't even be able to enter the top 10. Those two women are weak, so I have to deal with them first. Even if I am defeated, I can still enter the top 10. The Cerberus thought quickly and made up his mind. Then, he used all his strength to block the attack of the heartless monk. His body flashed and turned into a ray of black light, rushing towards Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling. He was as fast as lightning and arrived in front of them in an instant. Stop! Sandalwood Fairy reacted quickly. She stepped lightly on the ground and dense inscriptions appeared on the ground, forming a few arrays. A few shields appeared in front of her. At the same time, Jing Kongling also moved. Rivers appeared and ancient trees grew in the rivers. They stretched out their branches and blocked in front of them. Boom! Boom! There was a violent explosion. The underworld flames spread and burned the shields, rivers and ancient trees. However, after this block, Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling's follow-up attacks burst out. Chapter 1128. The two peerless beauties cooperated well, which made people's eyes light up. There was no doubt that Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling were the best of the second-class geniuses. However, their opponents were the overlords of their respective factions. Explosions rang out, and energy blasts shot out. Their attacks were all defeated by the Cerberus attacks. Get down! The three-headed hellhound roared and clawed at them, which made Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling pale. Are we going to fail? The two of them thought to themselves, feeling a little unwilling in their hearts. There were still 12 contestants left. If they could hold on a little longer, they might be able to enter the top 10. Unfortunately, they could only go this far. They sighed and decided to withdraw from the platform and admit defeat. At this moment, a burly figure suddenly appeared in front of them. He punched out and collided with the claws of the Cerberus, blocking its claw. It's him! Their eyes lit up. It was Lu Ming who stood in front of them. Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling had helped him in the ancient herb garden and prevented him from falling into Cold Blood Hall's trap. Now that he saw them in danger, he naturally would not sit back and do nothing. It's you who wants to save the damsel in distress. Then I'll send you down. The three-headed hellhound roared, and the terrible hell flame broke out. Lu Ming's spiritual spirit trembled slightly, as if his soul was about to be frozen. What a powerful hell flame! Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart, but he laughed out loud. Haha, you're more powerful than that lion. I wanted to take him as my mount, but he wouldn't agree. Although you're a little ugly, you're good enough to be my mount. While laughing, his genuine vitality burst out and he punched a few times. In an instant, he exchanged several blows with the three-headed hellhound. Big Beard, why are you stealing my prey? Monk Wuliang appeared not far away and said with a smile, "Monk, I'll take care of your prey for you." Lu Ming said, "Haha, that's great. Saves me the trouble." Unscrupulous Monk chuckled. He turned his gaze and stared at Underworld Child. "Sister Moonless, how about I help you?" Monk Wuliang came to the place where Underworld Child and the female Bodhisattva were fighting. The female Bodhisattva's name was Moonless. Underworld Child looked at Monk Wuliang with some fear. "Wuliang, do what you should do. I don't need your help." Moonless' face was cold. She seemed to have a bad relationship with Monk Wuliang. Not far away, Lu Ming almost tripped and fell. This unscrupulous monk's name was Unscrupulous. "It was too apartment I have hair, the falling flowers are in love, but the flowing water is heartless. Sister Moonless doesn't want my help, so forget it." Unscrupulous Monk mumbled. Then, his eyes darted around as he scanned his surroundings. The onlookers were speechless. Was this really a Western desert holy monk? Why was he so? Even some rulers on the spectator stands had strange looks on their faces. Elens with Buddha. With the hell monks was hell. Boom. At this moment, Lu Ming and the Cerberus were already fighting. It was an intense battle. The Cerberus was very strong. It had reached the 3rd level of the spirit god realm and its combat strength was stronger than lions. At this moment, the Cerberus divine beast bloodline was boiling. Lu Ming didn't activate his bloodline and was at a disadvantage. "It seems like it's impossible to get 3rd place without activating my bloodline today." With that thought, a drop of blood appeared on top of Lu Ming's head. Borrow power. Whoosh. A wisp of power from the 3rd bloodline surged into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed. His hair instantly turned blood red and his body emitted a blood red light. Kill. As the power of the 3rd bloodline surged into his body, Lu Ming's body emitted a terrifying killing intent. He struck out with his palm towards one of the Cerberus's heads. The 3-headed hellhound's head spewed out a terrifying attack, but it was defeated by Lu Ming's palm. His palm landed heavily on one of the 3-headed hellhound's heads. With a loud bang, the 3-headed hellhound screamed miserably and its body retreated rapidly. That head was almost smashed by Lu Ming. Its frontal bone caved in and blood flowed profusely. "Lu Shaoqing. He's Lu Shaoqing." At this moment, a few shocked cries came from the crowd. Sanguinarum, Wu Chengkong, and a few others who had seen Lu Ming in the Saint Mansion's secret realm exclaimed in disbelief. "What? He's Lu Shaoqing? Ming Lu is Lu Shaoqing? This awesome commander is Lu Shaoqing?" Cries of surprise rang out. By now, Lu Shaoqing's name had spread far and wide. In the World Academy's Saint Mansion's secret realm, Lu Shaoqing had killed the top geniuses of the previous generation of Cold Blood Hall and Sky Martial Sword Sect. He had also fought with Yang Patian and the others. Everyone had long regarded Lu Shaoqing as a magnate. They had thought that Lu Shaoqing had not come to Saint City. Could this awesome commander with a beard be Lu Shaoqing? He's Lu Shaoqing. I can't be wrong about this cultivation technique. Wu Chengkong and Sanguinarum spoke with certainty. He's really Lu Shaoqing. Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling's eyes flickered as they whispered. "Ha ha ha, this stupid beard. It's so uncomfortable to have it stuck to my face." At this moment, Lu Ming laughed. He grabbed the fake beard off his face and threw it away. This was equivalent to admitting that he was Lu Shaoqing. Everyone was shocked. Ming Lu was indeed Lu Shaoqing. But how did he sneak into the law enforcement army? What a brilliant technique to change one's aura. Even we were fooled. One of the sovereigns said. Just now, none of the sovereigns on the scene noticed this. Roar, roar, roar. The Cerberus roared. Its 3 heads opened their mouths and launched terrifying attacks. One of the heads spewed out black liquid, one head spewed out black flames, and one head spewed out black lightning. Each attack was extremely terrifying and could kill a 2nd-grade prodigy. Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air. His 3rd bloodline wriggled and changed into a blood-red spear. Lu Ming held it in his hand. Lu Ming performed the 5 slaughter styles and swung his spear 3 times in a row. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 blood-red spear shadows shattered the void and defeated the Cerberus attack. Then, the spear turned into a blood-red lightning, piercing through layers of space and piercing toward one of the heads. That head was the one that Lu Ming had injured previously. Poof! The spear pierced through the sunken area and pierced through the Cerberus head. Roar! Roar! The other two heads of the Cerberus roared crazily and launched terrifying attacks at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's left palm struck out continuously. He activated the heaven-suppressing hell skill and collided with the Cerberus attack. Chapter 1129. The Cerberus vitality was extremely tenacious. It had 3 heads. Unless all 3 heads were chopped off or one head was pierced through, it would only be severely injured but would not die. In the future, it would grow back 3 heads. At this moment, the Cerberus looked at Lu Ming in horror. "Kill!" Lu Ming shouted. His killing intent surged like a tide. His blood-red hair fluttered in the wind, and even his eyes were blood-red. He strode towards the Cerberus. Although the slaughter intent in the 3rd bloodline could only be borrowed and could not be merged with his 5 intents, it could still complement each other and become stronger. The blood-red spear danced, forming a blood-red storm of slaughter. The Cerberus tried his best to fight Lu Ming, but after a few moves, his 2nd head was pierced through by Lu Ming's spear. It was even more severely injured. In the end, the Cerberus had no choice but to withdraw from the platform and admit defeat. The Cerberus was defeated. This commander, No Lu Shaoqing, had defeated Lion Do and Cerberus, 2 supreme geniuses, one after another. This caused everyone's hearts to tremble. At this moment, the battle between Underworld Child and Moonless had entered its final stage. Although Moonless was strong, she was still inferior to Underworld Child. She was at a disadvantage at the beginning, but in the end, she was completely suppressed. After Lu Ming defeated the Cerberus, she had no choice but to admit defeat and withdraw from the platform. With Moonless withdrawal, the top 10 were born. Long Chen, Yang Patian, Tuoba Shi, Unscrupulous Monk, Underworld Child, Kong Lin, the Arch-God, Sandalwood Fairy, Jing Kongling, and Lu Ming. Entering the top 10 meant that they could enter the Sacred Emperor Ancient Palace and comprehend the insights of the past Sacred Emperors. It would lay the foundation for their path to becoming an emperor. At this moment, except for Yang Patian and Tuoba Shi, the others did not make a move. They were watching each other. "Brother Lu, thank you for your help." Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling bowed to Lu Ming. "You're too polite." Lu Ming grinned and said generously, "Brother Lu, it's up to you now. Sister Kongling and I are extremely lucky to enter the top 10. Sandalwood Fairy said coquettishly. Then, she and Jing Kongling withdrew from the platform. The 2 of them admitted defeat just like that. No one was surprised. This was within their expectations. Sandalwood Fairy and Jing Kongling were extremely lucky to be able to enter the top 10. With their true strength, it would be very difficult for them to enter the top 10. Being able to enter the top 10 and enter the Sacred Emperor Ancient Palace was already more than enough. Withdrawing now was the wisest choice. Thus, there were only 8 people left on the platform. Boom! With a loud explosion, Yang Patian and Tuoba Shi both retreated after exchanging a blow. They separated into 2 sides and stopped fighting. The 2 of them had already exchanged hundreds of blows, but there was still no clear victor. Yang Patian, I heard that you are ranked number 3 among the top 5 young warriors of the Central Continent. Xian Yanjuan is number 2 and Long Chen is number 1. Are they really stronger than you? Tuoba Shi spoke, his voice like a great bell. Why don't you give it a try? Yang Patian said. Ha ha ha, you don't have to provoke me, but I really want to try. Tuoba Shi laughed loudly. Then, he turned his gaze to Long Chen. Everyone was shocked. Was Tuoba Shi going to attack Long Chen? Everyone was looking forward to it. Long Chen had not attacked since the Battle of Providence. In fact, Long Chen had not attacked since the Battle of Providence. Everyone was curious. How far had Long Chen progressed? How strong was he? Would he be surpassed by the other elites? There was a glint of anticipation in Lu Ming's eyes. Long Chen gave him a strong sense of pressure. He also wanted to know how powerful Long Chen was. Bam! Tuoba Shi stepped forward and the platform buzzed. He walked towards Long Chen. The aura on his body was extremely strong. The mace in his hand vibrated according to Tuoba Shi's emotions. His muscles slowly bulged as if they were filled with endless power. Relatively speaking, Long Chen was very ordinary. His temperament and appearance were ordinary. He was like an ordinary youth in the crowd. On the platform, everyone retreated far away and looked at Long Chen and Tuoba Shi. Long Chen, everyone says that you are number 1 in the Central Continent and even the Divine Region. I would like to give it a try. Tuoba Shur stood in front of Long Chen and said in a low voice. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Northern Plains was full of people who liked to fight. Tuoba Shur was even more so. Otherwise, he would not have found Yang Potian and fought with him as soon as he came to the central continent. Moreover, because he did not defeat Yang Potian, he fought with Yang Potian again and again. It was obvious that he liked to fight. To him, there was no opponent in Northern Plains. He had never lost among the younger generation. He needed someone stronger to give him pressure. Therefore, he found Long Chen. Go ahead. Long Chen opened his mouth. This was the first time he had spoken. His tone was calm and he was not overbearing or arrogant. However, Lu Ming could hear an aura from it. It was an aura of invincibility. It was an aura that could only be felt when one was extremely confident in oneself. Take this! Tuoba Shur roared. His already burly body became even more burly. A terrifying beast roar came from Tuoba Shur's body. The mace in his hand shone brightly. Bam! Tuoba Shur took a step forward and charged toward Long Chen. His mace smashed toward Long Chen with a powerful force. Tuoba Shur did not dare to be careless when facing Long Chen. He used his full strength from the start. Everyone looked solemn. Tuoba Shur's attack was too powerful. No one could ignore it. However, Long Chen remained calm. When Tuoba Shur's mace was about to hit him, a terrifying aura spread out from his body. One of his arms swelled rapidly and his muscles bulged. It was twice as thick as usual. Boom! Long Chen directly threw a punch. This punch directly penetrated the space and a long dark passageway appeared. The entire world was shaking. On the platform, Lu Ming and the rest could feel a powerful force spreading toward them. They had to circulate their energy to resist it. Dong! Long Chen's fist collided with Tuoba Shur's mace. There was a terrifying explosion that sounded like thunder exploding in the sky. It was a collision of strength. Then, everyone saw a figure retreating rapidly, unable to stop. Like a huge cannonball, he retreated all the way out of the platform. It was Tuoba Shur. He was thrown out of the platform by Long Chen's punch. His face was pale and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Hiss! The sound of people sucking in cold breaths could be heard. Tuoba Shur was defeated by Long Chen with a single punch. Tuoba Shur's strength could be seen from the battle between him and Yang Potian. His strength was absolutely terrifying. His strength was shocking and could suppress the world. His battle prowess was not weaker than Yang Potian at all. However, he was thrown out by Long Chen's punch and spat out a mouthful of blood. This kind of scene was really too shocking. The people from Zhongzhou were not too surprised. However, the people from Northern Plains, Southern Ming, Western Desert, and Eastern Wilderness were even more shocked. Chapter 11:30. On the platform, Yang Potian and Kong Lin had grave expressions. Underworld Child, Unscrupulous Monk, and the Arch-God were all shocked. My hair, my Buddha! Damn his mercy! What a monster! Unscrupulous Monk chanted a strange Buddhist name. What terrifying power! There was a grave look in Lu Ming's eyes. Lu Ming could vaguely feel that Long Chen's bloodline was not to be underestimated. It was definitely a terrifying bloodline. After defeating Tuoba Shur, Long Chen's arm returned to normal and he stood there calmly. He was very ordinary, but no one dared to look down on him, not even the sovereigns. As long as such a prodigy did not die, he would definitely become a sovereign in the future. He might even reach a higher level and dominate the divine wilderness. Such a prodigy was rare even since ancient times. Now, there were only 7 people left on the platform. The 7 of them looked at each other. Yang Potian, let's fight. A 5-colored light flashed and Kong Lin appeared in front of Yang Potian. Among the 5 giants of the central continent, Yang Potian was ranked 3rd and Kong Lin was ranked 4th. In the Battle of Providence, Kong Lin had lost to Yang Potian by a small margin. Today, he was going to win and avenge his humiliation. Then I'll defeat you again. Yang Potian was very confident. He pointed his halberd at Kong Lin and the void shook. On the other hand, 5-colored light bloomed on Kong Lin's body. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, the 5 elements. The 5 elements peacock was born with the ability to control the 5 elements. It was extremely powerful. Of course, this kind of control was different from a martial artist comprehending 5 intents at the same time. This was because the 5 elements of the 5 elements peacock were separated. Unlike Lu Ming, who had merged the 5 elements. The 5 elements peacock was only blessed in controlling the 5 elements. Kong Lin had 90% of the 5 elements peacock's bloodline, and naturally inherited the talent to control the 5 elements. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two of them moved at the same time and charged at each other. Bam! Bam! At this moment, Lu Ming stepped out and walked toward one of them. The arch-god. Lu Ming walked toward the arch-god. The arch-god stared at Lu Ming with a grave expression. You should go down. Lu Ming said indifferently. Have I seen you before? Di Shen stared at Lu Ming. He felt that Di Shen's temperament was very similar to Lu Ming's. Really? Don't tell me there's someone as invincible as me in this world. Lu Ming grinned. His blood-red hair fluttered in the wind as boundless killing intent swept towards the arch-god. Although your battle prowess is strong, you can't do anything to me if I want to dodge. Di Shen said. He was confident in his space will. Really? Lu Ming sneered. His blood-colored spear stabbed out like a bolt of blood-colored lightning. The space around Di Shen rippled like water. He moved his body and disappeared from where he was, reappearing 100 meters away. The concept of space is indeed wondrous, but in my eyes, it can't withstand a single blow. Lu Ming took a step forward and formed a seal with both hands. A door of light appeared, emitting a brilliant light that suppressed the monarch god. The emperor deity's expression changed drastically because he suddenly felt like he had fallen into a quagmire and could not move. Not only him, but even space itself had been sealed. This is the 9 seals of the divine gate. An emperor suddenly stood up and exclaimed in shock. It's the 9 seals of the divine gate, the peerless martial art of the sky-sealing emperor back then. I didn't expect it to be mastered by Liu Shaoqing. Another old emperor said. More than 100,000 years ago, this peerless martial art was famous in the world. It was the peerless martial art of an emperor, but with the passing of that emperor, this peerless martial art disappeared from the world. Unexpectedly, it reappeared today. The other onlookers were secretly shocked. It turned out that this was an emperor peerless martial art. Space travel. Di Shen roared and unleashed his full strength. The space around his body trembled violently as he tried to break free from Lu Ming's seal. Then add another one. Lu Ming moved his hand, and another divine gate appeared and suppressed the emperor deity. This time, the emperor deity's body was completely immobilized. During this period, Lu Ming did not stop cultivating the 9 seals of the divine gate. After several months of hard work, Lu Ming could already condense 2 divine gates of the 9 seals of the divine gate, greatly increasing the power of the seal. Whoosh! The blood-red spear turned into a ray of light, piercing through the void and piercing through the emperor deity's chest. Bang! The spear shook, and the emperor deity's body flew far away. He flew out of the platform and vomited blood. You're too weak. I won't kill you today because of the sacred emperor, but I'll definitely kill you when I meet you in the future. Lu Ming said coldly. If it weren't for the rule that he couldn't kill his opponent today, he would have killed the emperor deity instead of just severely injuring him. However, the emperor deity was no longer a threat to Lu Ming. If he wanted to kill him, he would have plenty of opportunities in the future. The emperor deity kept vomiting blood. His face was pale as he barely floated in the air. He stared at Lu Ming and roared. We must have met before. Who are you? Lu Ming did not look at him again. He turned around and watched the battle between Yang Patian and Kong Lin. Yang Potion's space will was much stronger than the emperor deity's, and he had also mastered other wills. In the end, a purple gold halberd floated above his head. The 9 golden chakras were extremely dazzling. 9th grade divine level bloodline. Overlord-level Sky Prides had awakened 9th grade divine level bloodlines. Is this the legendary halberd of the void? Someone exclaimed. Yang Potion's bloodline was a legendary supreme divine weapon, the halberd of the void. It could shatter the void and cut open the void. Yang Patian used the bloodline fusion and turned into the halberd of the void. His battle strength was even more terrifying. Kong Lin also turned into a 5-colored peacock. Unfortunately, he was still no match for Yang Patian. After dozens of exchanges, Kong Lin was completely suppressed and was forced to retreat. In the end, Kong Lin roared and left the platform. Kong Lin was defeated. Now, There were only 5 people left on the platform. Long Chen, Underworld Child, Unscrupulous Monk, Yang Patian, and Lu Ming. Each of them was an extremely powerful existence with unparalleled battle strength. The battle had reached the most critical moment. As long as 2 more people were defeated, the top 3 would be determined. Tell me, who do you think is stronger and weaker among the 5 of them? The crowd began to discuss. Long Chen is undoubtedly the strongest. He defeated Tuo Bashir, who was no weaker than Yang Patian, with 1 punch. His battle strength is unfathomable. As for the other 4, it's hard to say. I think Unscrupulous Monk, Underworld Child, and Lu Shaoqing are about the same. Yang Patian is slightly weaker. Not necessarily. Yang Patian is very strong. He might not be weaker than the other 3. I don't think he's weak either. The next battle is the pinnacle. Everyone expressed their opinions one by one. I have hair. Benefactor, why don't we exchange a few blows? Unscrupulous Monk chanted the name of Buddha. His white cassock fluttered as he walked toward Yang Patian. That's exactly what I want. Monk, you were the one who put out the fake Sacred Mansion token in the Sacred Mansion secret realm. It's time to settle the score. Chapter 1131. Benefactor Misunderstood. Benefactor Lu misunderstood back then as well. Someone must have framed this little monk. This little monk is a monk with a compassionate heart. How could I do such a thing? Who slandered this little monk? Tell me, and I'll slap him to death. Unscrupulous Monk put his palms together, looking solemn. The first part of his speech was normal, but the last part made everyone look at each other. Outside the platform, Moonless Bodhisattva put her palms together, the veins on her face throbbing. Yang Potion's lips trembled as he said, "There's no need to say any more. Let me test the Venerable's methods." Without wasting any time, Yang Patian turned into a halberd and started a huge battle with Unscrupulous Monk. Without a doubt, Unscrupulous Monk's bloodline was also a grade 9 divine grade bloodline. It was a golden Buddha with a solemn appearance and a compassionate face, giving off boundless Buddhist light. Everyone was speechless. How could a weirdo like Unscrupulous Monk awaken such a supreme Buddhist bloodline? The battle between the 2 took up half of the platform. Lu Shaoqing, let's fight. A black light flashed, and Underworld Child appeared before Lu Ming. Fight. There was no need for words. Lu Ming spat out a single word, his battle intent soaring. As long as he defeated Underworld Child, Unscrupulous Monk and Yang Patian would fight it out, and Lu Ming would enter the top 3. His goal was to enter the top 3, and he had to enter the top 3. Boundless black underworld chi erupted from Underworld Child's body. Ghostly cries came from within, sounding extremely horrifying. A saber appeared in Underworld Child's hand. It was a black scimitar, and evil spirits appeared on it as if they were about to crawl out. Whoosh! Underworld Child charged at Lu Ming and chopped down with his scimitar. Ghostly cries and wolf howls filled the air. Kill! Lu Ming roared, his killing intent surging. The blood-red spear turned back into a drop of blood and floated above Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming executed the hell-suppressing heavenly art and sent out a palm strike, clashing with Underworld Child's saber light. Bang! 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 Intense collisions rang out as the 2 of them exchanged more than a dozen blows in an instant. How cold! What a strange attack! Lu Ming felt a chill all over his body. Not only that, but even his spiritual spirit also felt cold. Underworld Child's attacks not only damaged his physical body but also his spiritual spirit. 5 colored concepts swirled about, forming a battle armor that covered his entire body. True essence flowed endlessly, blocking the Underworld Child's strange attack. At the same time, Underworld Child's every palm strike. Underworld Chi, Underworld Child's. However, the Underworld Child was indeed terrifying. Even amongst the young tycoons, he was a peak existence. He had awakened a 9th-level divine bloodline. The power of his bloodline was also extremely terrifying. The bloodline secret skills and bloodline martial skills that were comprehended from the bloodline were extremely powerful. The augmentation of a level 9 divine bloodline far surpassed the augmentation of 7 dragon energies. Moreover, the Netherworld Child's intent realm was very terrifying. It had many different types. Although it did not have as many types as Lu Ming, Its level was higher than Lu Ming's and its power was not too far off from Lu Ming. It could be said that geniuses who had reached the level of young tycoons were very strong in all aspects and were very well-rounded. Lu Ming's bloodline was only at the 7th level of the divine rank. On the other hand, the 3rd bloodline possessed endless power. However, Lu Ming did not dare to borrow too much of it. The more he borrowed, the stronger his murderous intent would be. Lu Ming would be controlled by the endless murderous intent. Once he lost control of himself and was dominated by the murderous intent, he would become a walking corpse, a puppet that only knew how to kill. Of course, as Lu Ming's cultivation increased, his control over himself became stronger, and the power he could borrow also became stronger. Now, compared to when he was at the first level of the spirit god realm, the power he could borrow had increased by a lot. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of moves. 9 seals of the divine gate. Lu Ming formed a seal, and 2 divine gates appeared to suppress the underworld child. Hell's Gate. A large black gate appeared in front of Underworld Child's body. The gate shone and quickly enlarged, unexpectedly blocking the sealed gate. Death God appear. Immediately, a black figure appeared above Underworld Child's head. This figure was covered in a black cloak, and its appearance couldn't be seen clearly. Only 2 balls of red flames danced and burned in its eyes. This figure held a black scythe in its hand, and black flames danced on it. Death God. The legendary Death God. This was Underworld Child's bloodline, and without a doubt, it was at the 9th level of the divine rank. 12 Capital Heaven Battle Formation. Underworld Child transformed into the Death God, and a cold and unpleasant voice sounded. The Death God moved, and actually turned into 12 figures that charged at Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the sealed gate again, but he could only seal 2 of them. The other masters still charged at Lu Ming. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Ming punched continuously, constantly activating the hell-suppressing heavenly art and increasing its power as he fought against the 10 death gods. 10 punches landed on the 10 sides of the death gods, forcing them back. However, Lu Ming's face turned pale. What a strange attack! What terrifying power! Lu Ming's eyes turned serious. The physical attacks of the death gods weren't very strong, but they had a strange power that could directly penetrate the body and attack the spiritual god. In other words, they were attacking the soul of the spiritual god. Underworld Child's attacks could directly penetrate the soul and destroy it, killing without leaving a trace. If not for the fact that Lu Ming had consumed the spirit-refining fruit and a large number of spirit-refining pills, causing his spirit to be very condensed and surpass others, he might not have been able to withstand it. Even so, Lu Ming's spiritual god was still trembling, and his soul felt like it was being torn apart. Kill! Underworld Child attacked again. At this time, the sealed gate had lost its effect, and 12 underworld gods charged at Lu Ming. Every single one of them seemed to be real. Lu Ming controlled the 5 intents and formed a 5-colored battlesuit on his spiritual god. Then he fought with the death gods. With the 5-colored battlesuit protecting his spiritual god, it was slightly better. However, his spiritual god was still under constant attack and trembling. If this continued, his spiritual god would suffer unimaginable injuries. The spiritual divinity was the foundation of a martial artist. It was where the essence, energy, and spirit resided. If the spiritual divinity was injured too severely, it would greatly affect one's future cultivation. Looks like Lu Xueqi is going to lose. He's not a match for Underworld Child. Legend has it that Underworld Child's bloodline can directly attack one's soul and kill without leaving a trace. It's very strange and powerful. It's impossible to defend against. Speaking of which, Lu Xueqi's bloodline is very strange. It doesn't have a chakra. I also noticed this. It's strange, but there are all kinds of strange things in the world. Maybe he cultivated some kind of secret technique that concealed his chakra. Everyone discussed as they looked at the platform. At this time, Lu Ming and Underworld Child's battle seemed to be a draw. However, those who understood Underworld Child knew that if this continued, Lu Ming would definitely be at a disadvantage and lose. On the other side, Heartless Monk had already gained the upper hand in his battle with Yang Potian. I must win this battle. No matter the price. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. He couldn't lose this battle. He had to use this opportunity to take away Xian Yanqing. He had to win. Chapter 1132. Lu Xueqi lose. Reap the Reaper. A cold and unpleasant voice could be heard. The death sickles in the hands of the 12 Grim Reapers drew a mysterious and strange arc, slashing toward Lu Ming. The 12 Reaper scythes covered all directions. Underworld child, you're the one who will lose today. Lu Ming gave a long howl. Roar. The next moment, there was an earth-shattering roar of a dragon. 9 dragons appeared above Lu Ming's head and a vast dragon power spread out. Lu Ming turned into a ray of light and entered the 9 dragons. 9 dragons stomping the sky. Boom. Boom. The 9 dragons took 7 steps with their claws, each step stronger than the previous one. The powerful energy forced the 12 Reapers back. 9 dragons, Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. He's Lu Ming. At this moment, a few people shouted in disbelief. The arch-god, the patriarch of the Wang family and the patriarch of the Zhang family shouted in unison. They were too familiar with the 9 dragons' bloodline. There could only be one person with the 9 dragons' bloodline, and that was Lu Ming. How is that possible? How can Lu Ming be here? The patriarch of the Wang family murmured in disbelief. We saw Lu Ming at the Talisman Puppet Sect before we came to the Middle Continent. Did Lu Ming come to the Middle Continent through the teleportation array? But how is that possible? Isn't the Talisman Puppet Sect cut off contact with the forces of the Middle Continent? The patriarch of the Zhang family mumbled. Even though they didn't believe it, the 9 dragons' bloodline told them that the person in front of them was Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's him. No wonder I felt that his aura was familiar. The arch-god shouted. His eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. He couldn't accept that the person in front of him was Lu Ming. The person who defeated him so easily was Lu Ming. Originally, he had been full of confidence. His concept of space had long since reached the 4th level, and it was becoming more and more terrifying. His cultivation had also broken through to the spirit god realm. He was fully confident that when he faced Lu Ming again, he would be able to easily defeat him and avenge the humiliation he had suffered in the Battle of Destiny. However, reality was cruel. Lu Ming had become even more powerful, far surpassing him, and could easily defeat him. Right now, Lu Ming was like a huge mountain in front of him. At the scene, there was another person who was also incomparably shocked, and that was Xie Zhen. Lu Ming, Lu Shaoqing is Lu Ming? He roared in disbelief as a terrifying killing intent burst out from his eyes. Looking at the 9 dragons' bloodline in front of him, the scenes of the past in 9 Dragon City appeared in his mind. What? Lu Ming? What Lu Ming? I heard that the top genius of the Eastern Barren Territory is called Lu Ming. Could it be him? It can't be? Is he a genius from the Eastern Wilderness? The surrounding onlookers were in an uproar as they discussed animatedly, feeling that it was inconceivable. Just how many identities does he have? At first, he was the commander of the ancient Saint Dynasty's law enforcement army. Then he was recognized as the famous Lu Shaoqing, and now it was Lu Ming. Many people were already in disarray. I don't care who you are. Kill. The 12 Grim Reapers roared as they charged towards Lu Ming. Roar. The 9 dragons roared as a terrifying devouring power burst out from their mouths, enveloping the 12 Grim Reapers. Borrow power. With a thought, a trace of blood-red energy from the 3rd bloodline flowed into the 9 dragons' bodies, causing a layer of blood-red light to appear on the 9 dragons' bodies. Boom. Boom. The 9 dragons stepped forward and aimed at one of the Grim Reapers. After 7 steps, the Grim Reapers exploded. The divine dragon swung its tail and unleashed the power of the heaven-suppressing hell art, shattering the other Grim Reapers. The 9 dragons slithered upwards and pounced on Lu Ming and the other 2 Grim Reapers. Enveloped by the devouring power of the 9 dragons, Underworld Child felt his essence blood, true essence, and bloodline power become unstable. His strength was greatly affected. On the other hand, Lu Ming unleashed his full power and used the bloodline fusion art. He was even stronger than before, and the situation was reversed. Lu Ming had the upper hand. However, Underworld Child wasn't willing to admit defeat, so he used all his strength to fight against Lu Ming. However, after a few moves, another Grim Reapers was defeated. As time passed, more Grim Reapers were defeated. After dozens of moves, only 1 Grim Reapers was left on the platform. Bam! After being struck by the 9 dragons' claws, the Grim Reapers were forced to retreat. So powerful! Everyone was shocked. After Lu Ming unleashed his bloodline, his battle strength had increased by a level and had completely surpassed Underworld Child. 9 dragons' bloodline, one of the top 10 battle beasts. Interesting. At the side of the platform, Long Chen, who had been unmoved, muttered under his breath as his eyes flashed. However, no one heard him. Dong, dong. The 9 dragons stepped in the air and pounced on the last Grim Reapers. Bam. Although the Grim Reapers tried their best to resist, they were already at the end of their rope. How could they stop Lu Ming? Their bodies exploded, revealing Underworld Child's true body. His face was pale, and his body flashed backward rapidly. The 9 dragons chased after him. Underworld Child's expression changed. In the end, he sighed and left the platform. Leaving the platform meant that he had admitted defeat. He knew that there was no need to continue fighting, so he could only admit defeat. Seeing that Underworld Child had admitted defeat, the 9 dragons' bodies shrunk rapidly. In the next moment, a handsome young man appeared on the platform. This was Lu Ming's original appearance. It was also the appearance that he had used when he was using the name Lu Shaoqing. At this moment, almost everyone's gaze fell on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's really you. The Wang family patriarch roared. His killing intent was extremely strong, and a powerful aura spread out from his body. What are you doing? A cold shout sounded in the Wang family patriarch's ears, causing his body to tremble and his aura to weaken rapidly. It was the voice of an emperor. All the emperors were gathered here. Now that the emperor had not spoken, how could he release his killing intent? Lu Ming. The Arch clenched his fists tightly, his veins popping out. The people of the Arch Deity Palace were really shocked and surprised. They did not understand why Lu Ming would appear here. Lu Ming, it's really him. I didn't expect him to be so strong. The Heavenly Corpse sects Xueqi, Shizhan, and the Heavenly Monster Valleys AO2 and Fengxian all sighed in disbelief. It had been almost 2 years since the last Battle of Providence. During these 2 years, they had been improving, but Lu Ming's improvement was even more shocking. He had already left them far behind. Even the top geniuses of the Divine Wilderness continent had been defeated by Lu Ming. He was already standing at the peak of the Divine Wilderness continent's younger generation. As for them, they were still too far away. Is he really Lu Ming? I didn't expect such a terrifying genius to appear in the Eastern Wilderness. Someone in the crowd said with a complicated voice. The Eastern Wilderness had always been the weakest. Previously, everyone had said that only the Arch was decent. The other geniuses of the Eastern Wilderness were not worth mentioning. But now, Lu Ming had appeared. He had suppressed everyone and was destined to enter the top 3. So he is Lu Ming. Chapter 1133. Everyone looked at Lu Ming and all kinds of thoughts flashed across their minds. However, most of them were amazed by Lu Ming's strength. Brother Lu, you've kept us in the dark. Outside the platform, Sandalwood Fairy spoke, as if she was rebuking him. I'm sorry, Fairy. Lu Ming had to do it. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. Since he had already exposed himself, he would admit it. It seems that this is a great era. Even the Eastern Wilderness has someone like Lu Ming. Yeah, this is a golden age. We can't underestimate any region. There might be powerful elites everywhere. Someone exclaimed. Lu Ming's battle achievements were too dazzling. Previously, Lu Shaoqing's name had already shaken the central continent. Recently, he had even defeated Lu Yusin, the Arch, Lion Du, the Cerberus, and the Underworld Child consecutively. 3 of them were supreme geniuses. His battle achievements were too glorious. Lu Ming, Lu Ming, Lu Ming from the Eastern Wilderness. He's from the Eastern Wilderness. His powerful devouring power should be the talent of the 9 dragons. Sanguinarum stared at Lu Ming. No one knew what he was thinking. Similarly, many elites of the Tianwu sword sect also had murderous intent in their eyes. However, no one dared to do so on such an occasion. Boom, boom. At this moment, the violent roars on the platform finally pulled everyone back from their thoughts. Everyone shifted their gazes away from Lu Ming. The battle between Heartless Monk and Yang Patian had also reached its final stage. Yang Patian was no match for Heartless Monk. After 100 moves, he was defeated by Heartless Monk and blasted out of the platform. At this point the top 3 were born. They were Long Chen, Lu Ming, and Heartless Monk. Many people were looking forward to it. Now, the 3 of them were all terrifyingly strong and unfathomable. Needless to say, Long Chen had always been the most powerful elite. He was the first to become a spirit god and was invincible among his peers. Just now, he had defeated Tuo Bashir with one punch, which shocked everyone. Heartless Monk, the Western Desert's eccentric holy monk, was extremely strong and had defeated Yang Patian. He kept smiling and looked harmless, making people feel that he was unfathomable. Lu Ming could be considered the strongest dark horse this time. First, he had transformed into Lu Shaoqing. Then he had transformed into the commander of the law enforcement army. He had slaughtered his way here, defeating numerous experts and even a prodigy like the underworld child. His strength was unfathomable. Everyone was looking forward to the clash between the three. Everyone was looking forward to seeing if Lu Ming or the unscrupulous monk could force out Long Chen's true strength. That was because until now, no one knew how strong Long Chen was. My hair. Monk Wuliang chanted the name of Buddha and looked at Lu Ming. Haha, benefactor. So your name is Lu Ming. Nice to meet you. Monk, we've met several times. Lu Ming smiled. Haha, that's right. Benefactor Lu's combat strength is profound and admirable. I didn't expect you to defeat the underworld child. I fought with the underworld child many times in the past, but I couldn't defeat him. Since you defeated him, I'm no match for you. I admit defeat. Monk Wuliang chuckled, then turned around and stepped off the platform. Monk Wuliang admitted defeat. Now, only Lu Ming and Long Chen were left. The Nine Dragons bloodline. Interesting. I'd like to see the power of the Nine Dragons bloodline. Long Chen, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke. He looked at Lu Ming with anticipation in his eyes. This kind of anticipation was like a person who had been invincible for too long and had no opponents. Now that he suddenly saw an opponent, he revealed that kind of anticipation. Yes, Long Chen had been invincible for too long. He had been invincible among the younger generation. He needed an opponent and longed for one. Without a doubt, in his heart, Lu Ming could become his opponent. This was not arrogance, but his true thoughts. I'd like to fight with you, but unfortunately, I'm not interested in the first place. After saying that, Lu Ming moved and left the platform. Lu Ming's target was the second or third place. He didn't want to take the first place at all. The first place was to marry Xian Yanlin. Lu Ming only wanted the second or third place to make the sacred emperor agree to one of his conditions. Lu Ming actually admitted defeat. What a pity. It's really a pity. Many people sighed. They thought that they would be able to see a peak battle, but the result was unexpected. First, Monk Wuliang admitted defeat. Then, Lu Ming also admitted defeat directly. In this way, this competition ended just like that. Alright, this competition ends here. Long Chen has taken the first place and will be engaged to my daughter, Xian Yanlin, soon. Xie Qitian stood up and announced. Besides Xie Qitian, Xian Yanlin smiled happily. On the platform, Long Chen looked at Xian Yanlin with a smile on his face. Not many people knew that Long Chen and Xian Yanlin had feelings for each other and had been secretly dating for a long time. This competition was just a formality. Xian Yanlin and Xie Qitian knew that Long Chen would take the first place without any suspense. It was impossible for anyone to defeat Long Chen. Xie Qitian could also take this opportunity to win over many overlord forces and establish good relations with them. It was killing many birds with one stone. From now on, the Heavenly Sun Palace and the Imperial Xie family will be married. The Imperial family will be even more powerful. Someone sighed secretly. Long Chen came from the Heavenly Sun Palace, an extremely powerful overlord force. Long Chen and Xian Yanlin's marriage meant that the two forces would be strong in the future. In this generation of the Imperial family, there are many geniuses. Xian Yanjuan, Xian Yanlin, and Xie Yan are all top geniuses. Is the Imperial family going to return to glory? The Imperial family's luck is indeed strong. In the future, with a marriage with the Heavenly Sun Palace, there is a possibility that the two strongest geniuses will rise. However, other forces may not let them rise as they wish. In the dark, some people whispered to each other. The marriage between the Imperial family and the Heavenly Sun Palace had far-reaching effects. And Lu Ming, heartless monk. Xie Qitian looked at Lu Ming and heartless monk. The two of them flew onto the platform and bowed to Xie Qitian. I agree. For the second and third place, I can promise you one thing. What do you want to ask for? Lu Ming, you go first. Xueqi looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It was finally time. He had been waiting for this moment. The Wang family patriarch, Jiang family patriarch, Di Shen, and the others were also nervous. If Lu Ming asked for the sacred emperor to protect him against Di, it would be troublesome. Di could do nothing against the ancient saint dynasty. Sacred emperor, Lu Ming has no other request. I only ask for one thing, and that is to set Nianqing free. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, Xueqi frowned. The others were also stunned. Chapter 1134. No one had expected Lu Ming's request to set someone free. Nianqing? Who is that? Many people were curious. This name is very similar to the two princesses. I heard that the royal family has a little princess whose bloodline is different from the royal family. Could it be that Lu Ming is talking about this little princess? Someone guessed. In the end, many people sighed. Lu Ming's request was not worth it. It was a waste of a great opportunity. However, Lu Ming's gaze was firm. In his heart, this was the most important thing. The Wang family head, Jiang family head, the arch-god, and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They were really afraid that Lu Ming would ask Xueqi to protect him. Haha, how foolish. The Wang family head laughed in his heart. Lu Ming, don't be delusional. Nianqing is different. You want to set her free? What a joke. Also, back in Zheolong City in the eastern wilderness, you were the one who repeatedly obstructed us and injured the royal family's people. How dare you say such words today? How audacious. Xie got up and looked at Lu Ming coldly, berating him loudly. What? How dare you injure the royal family's people? Lu Ming, you sneaked into the enforcer troop and purposely destroyed the relationship between the royal family and the other overlords. What are your intentions? A middle-aged man stood up and said coldly. Lu Ming recognized that this man was the royal uncle, Xueqi, who had appeared when Lu Ming was confronting the Sky Martial Sword Sect's elders at the Enforcer Hall. Because of Lu Ming, their relationship with the Sky Martial Sword Sect had deteriorated, forcing Xueqi to appear. He was already unhappy with Lu Ming, so he naturally came out to scold him. She is indeed the little princess of the royal family. That weirdo. Xie words made everyone's heart skip a beat. But how did Lu Ming get to know the little princess? It seemed that in the eastern wasteland, the imperial family had suffered losses at the hands of Lu Ming. This Lu Ming was really a monster. Lu Ming glanced coldly at Xie and Xueqi before ignoring them. He faced the Saint Emperor and said, Saint Emperor, you said that as long as I get into the top 3, I can make a request of you. My request is to set Nianqing free. I can give up everything else, including entering the Saint Emperor Ancient Palace. Lu Ming's posture was ramrod straight. He was neither servile nor overbearing, and his gaze was firm. Xueqi frowned even more. His face turned cold as he said, Lu Ming, this won't do. You'd better change your condition. There was no room for doubt in his tone. Xueqi's meaning was very clear. It was impossible for him to do that. However, Lu Ming would not give up just like that. Holy Emperor, why not? Is it because Nianqing's bloodline is different from the rest of the imperial family? Could it be that only those with pure and holy blood were from the Xie clan? Those who lean towards the dark bloodline are not from the Xie clan? Please forgive me for my humble opinion. This way of thinking is too pedantic. Lu Ming's voice resounded throughout the area, silencing everyone. Almost everyone looked at Lu Ming in shock. How dare Lu Ming talk to the Saint Emperor like that? Even a fool could tell that Lu Ming was implying that the Saint Emperor was pedantic. He was really audacious. Even other emperors did not dare to speak to Xueqi in this manner. Lu Ming's words were simply too shocking. How dare you? Lu Ming, you lowly ant. How dare you talk to my father like that? You're courting death. Xie roared. You deserve to die and your entire family should be exterminated. Xueqi shouted coldly. Although his words were short, they were filled with killing intent. Xueqi did not speak. He was still frowning slightly. No one knew what he was thinking. Lu Ming continued to ignore Xie and Xueqi. He did not even look at them as he continued to face Xueqi. Bloodline is just a tool for martial artists. It depends on how you use it. If you use it well, it's good. If you don't use it well, it's not good. Why do we have to look at the attribute? The key is the person using it. Lu Ming's voice was loud and clear. He was neither servile nor overbearing. He was not afraid at all as he argued. Ridiculous. Xian Yanqing has a different bloodline. That's a rebel bloodline. If she was set free, she would have turned against the imperial family. Xie Zhan continued to berate. Haha, ridiculous. What is a rebel bloodline? Back then, the chaotic Sky Emperor was forced out. If the imperial family treated him equally, without humiliation or oppression, how could he betray us? Lu Ming laughed. As soon as he said this, everyone was shocked. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, a terrifying aura erupted from the imperial family. Cold killing intent shrouded Lu Ming. How dare you? You're courting death. You deserve to die. You've committed a heinous crime. Roars rang out as powerful existences were enraged. Terrifying auras filled the air as if the world was about to be destroyed. Endless pressure pressed down on Lu Ming. Among them, there were quite a number of powerful figures at the supreme level. Boom. Lu Ming used all his strength to resist, but he was still suppressed by the pressure. His body shook violently and he quickly retreated. A mouthful of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The chaotic Sky Emperor was a taboo of the imperial family. Lu Ming dared to mention it on such an occasion. This was a sore spot for the imperial family. Sacred Emperor, there is an ancient saying that a monarch is not joking. Moreover, you're the sacred emperor. Do you want to go back on your words? Lu Ming shouted. Since he had come this far, there was no way out. Lu Ming had nothing to fear. He could only move forward bravely. When I said that I would agree to a condition, I was referring to something that I could do. Xueqi said. What's so difficult about my condition? Moreover, Nianqing is your daughter. Your biological daughter. Did you give birth to her just to lock her up for life? Lu Ming shouted. The true essence in his body circulated crazily. The five-colored intent enveloped his body to resist the pressure from the outside. How dare you? Men, kill this man! Xie Zhan shouted. His killing intent was boundless and his face was ferocious. Back then, when he was in Nine Dragon City, he went there as the prince of the ancient sage dynasty. He should have been high and mighty and everyone would surround him. However, in the end, Lu Ming defeated him in front of everyone and made him lose face. He had always hated Lu Ming. Even after so long, he hadn't forgotten about it. Now that he had such an opportunity, he naturally wanted to cut Lu Ming into pieces. Kill! Two guards in iron armor shouted. Terrifying auras erupted and they were about to step out and kill Lu Ming. Everyone sighed. They thought that Lu Ming was going to die today. It was a pity that such a genius would die. Enough! At this moment, Xueqi said faintly. He waved his hand gently and the two guards immediately stopped. The other members of the imperial family also restrained their auras. Lu Ming felt his body relax and he let out a long breath. Lu Ming, I'm the emperor and I'm a man of my word. However, your condition is an important matter for the royal family. I can't agree to it so easily. How about this? Nianqing is now in the 9 underworlds demon realm, fighting for the royal family and hunting the demon Sha clan. If you're willing to enter the 9 underworlds demon realm and hunt the demon Sha clan, and when you've killed enough demon Sha clan members and accumulated enough merits for the royal family, I'll let you leave together. Xueqi said after pondering for a while. Chapter 1135. Sacred Emperor, are you serious? Lu Ming stared at Xueqi. I'm a man of my word. Everyone who enters the abyss of demons realm and kills the demon Sha clan will get points. As long as you can get 10,000 points, I promise to let the two of you go and never interfere with Nianqing's affairs again. Xueqi said. Okay, I promise. Lu Ming said. In front of so many emperors and people, Lu Ming believed that Xueqi would not go back on his word. Lu Ming also knew that it would not be easy to kill the demon Sha clan in the abyss of demons realm, but there was still hope. Moreover, his identity had been exposed, and De would know soon. In the abyss of demons realm, not only could he find Xian Yanqing, but he could also avoid De temporarily. For Lu Ming, it was killing two birds with one stone. At this time, Xie Zhan, Xueqi, and the others' eyes flickered, but they did not say anything. No one knew what they were thinking. Okay, it's settled. When the banquet is over, I'll ask someone to take you to the abyss of demons' realm. Xueqi said. Then, Xueqi asked Heartless Monk about his conditions. Heartless Monk was smart and said not to mention it for the time being. Okay, 3 days later, the top 10 can enter the Sacred Emperor Ancient Palace to comprehend. Xueqi announced. Then, the banquet continued. The banquet lasted for half a day before it ended. The overlords began to leave one by one. The Wang family patriarch, Jiang family patriarch, Di Shen, and the others also left in a hurry. They had to rush back to the eastern wilderness to report to Di about Lu Ming. It was too strange. Lu Ming was still in the Talisman Puppet sect, so why did he suddenly appear in the central continent and enter the abyss of demons' realm? They had to let Di know as soon as possible. Soon, the crowd dispersed. Lu Ming, come with us. 2 guards in iron armor came to Lu Ming and said with a cold expression. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the 2 of them and discovered that he could not see through their cultivation level. It was unfathomable. To the abyss of demons' realm? Lu Ming said. That's right. The Sacred Emperor ordered us to bring you to the 9 Underworlds Devil Domain. The entrance to the 9 Underworlds Devil Domain is to the north of the Holy City. One of the armored guards said. Please. Lu Ming nodded. The 2 armored guards took the lead, and Lu Ming followed behind them, heading north of the Holy City. Not long after, they arrived at the north side of the Saint City. Then, they passed through layers upon layers of barriers and arrived before a giant door made of light. Along the way, Lu Ming calculated that they had passed through a total of 18 checkpoints. Each checkpoint had an extremely powerful formation and was guarded by a powerful expert. From this, it could be seen that the royal family placed great importance on this place. This is the entrance to the demon realm of the 9 underworlds. Take this jade pendant. As long as you kill a member of the demon temple in the demon realm of the 9 underworlds, the jade pendant will sense it and you will get the corresponding points. But in the depths of his eyes, there was a trace of a sneer. Thank you. Lu Ming took the jade token and put it away. Okay, let's go in. One of the guards said. Lu Ming nodded, then turned around and stepped into the light door, disappearing from sight. He wants to get 10,000 points in the demon realm of the 9 underworlds? What a fool's dream. He'll stay there for the rest of his life. The Holy Emperor's move is brilliant. The 2 guards sneered, then turned around and strode away. At this moment, Xie Zhan and Xueqi were sitting opposite each other in a hall in the royal palace. Brother, your move is brilliant. Not only did you shut Lu Ming's mouth, but you also fulfilled your promise. I'm really impressed. Xueqi took a sip of spiritual tea and smiled faintly. It's almost impossible to get 10,000 points by killing a member of the demon temple in the demon realm of the 9 underworlds. But I still feel uneasy. Xie Zhan frowned and said, Xian Yanqing, that bitch, is too talented. He's not weaker than the overlord level Heaven's Pride. Moreover, he awakened a dark bloodline. He's like a fish in water in the demon realm of the 9 underworlds. He can still cultivate and improve his cultivation. As for Lu Ming, he is even more shocking. More than 3 years ago, he was only at the Spirit Sea realm and his cultivation level was lower than mine. However, in just slightly more than 3 years, his cultivation level has soared to the 3rd level of the Spirit God realm. His combat ability is even more shocking. He has defeated many giants and supreme talents consecutively. In my opinion, apart from Long Chen, no one can suppress him. I can't rest easy as long as such a person is alive. You want to kill him in the demon realm of the 9 underworlds? Xie Tianyu said. Yes, but although Lu Ming's cultivation is only at the 3rd level Spirit God realm, his battle strength is too terrifying. I'm afraid that ordinary 6th level Spirit God realm experts are no match for him. To kill him, we'll have to send 7th level Spirit God realm experts or even stronger existences. But with my authority, I can't mobilize such powerful existences, so I need Uncle's help. Xie Zhan said. Yes, you're right. Lu Ming can't be left alive. Moreover, we'll take this opportunity to kill that freak Xian Yanqing as well. Xueqi's face revealed a cold smile. Thank you, Uncle. Xie Zhan was overjoyed and thanked him. After Lu Ming stepped into the light door, he stepped out of another light door in the next moment. Where is this? Lu Ming glanced around and found that he had arrived at another place. This place seemed to be a city. Above the city, there was a huge light screen that enveloped the entire city, and the scene outside the light screen couldn't be seen clearly. Is this the demon realm of the 9 underworlds? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Another person has come. A voice came from the side, and Lu Ming saw a few burly men in armor. Brothers, is this the demon realm of the 9 underworlds? Lu Ming stepped forward and asked. Yes, this is the demon realm of the 9 underworlds. We're the martial artists of the imperial family, and we're responsible for guarding the city to prevent the Masha clan from attacking the exit. Why are you here? One of the burly men explained and then asked. I'm here to kill the Masha clan and earn points. Lu Ming said, but he didn't tell the truth. Another exile. Hearing Lu Ming's words, the burly men's faces turned cold, and they sneered. Exile. Lu Ming frowned. All right, you'll stay in this city for the night. The moon is in the sky now, and the demon qi is at its thickest. In order to prevent the demon qi from seeping in, the city is now closed and won't be opened. You can leave the city tomorrow. One of the burly men in armor waved his hand casually. Lu Ming nodded and didn't ask any more questions. He strode out of the place. Soon, Lu Ming came to a street and found that there were quite a lot of people here. However, each of them had a strong aura, and they were all experts. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he found that there were many existences in the spiritual god realm. These people were all sent by the imperial family to guard this place. Lu Ming walked around and asked around. As expected, he couldn't leave the city now and had to wait until the next day. Lu Ming found a quiet place, sat cross-legged, and waited quietly. Chapter 1136. As soon as the 4 old men appeared, they exuded a terrifying aura, causing the expressions of the burly men to change drastically. Gentlemen, where did you come from? One of the burly men asked. One of the old men waved his hand, and a token appeared in his hand. When the burly men saw the token, they immediately straightened their bodies and showed respect on their faces. So it's you, sirs. May I know what brings you here? One of the burly men asked cautiously. Did a young man come in earlier? The old man with the token asked. Are you talking about that exiled person? He came in about an hour ago. He should be somewhere in the city now. The burly man in the armor replied respectfully. Somewhere in the city. The 4 old men nodded and left. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, it was the 2nd day. Lu Ming flew toward the city wall. Those who want to leave the city, hurry up! At the city gate, a burly man in armor shouted. At this time, the city gate had opened, and only one person could pass through at a time. From the opening, black mist filled the air. Lu Ming's body flashed, and he rushed out of the opening. Is this the 9 underworlds demon realm? After rushing out of the city, the light suddenly dimmed. The light between heaven and earth was very dim, and there was a black mist floating between heaven and earth. The entire land was dark. Looking up, there was a sun in the sky, but the sun was also dark, and it looked very depressing. This place is filled with dense demon qi, but there is no spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Lu Ming sensed that there was no spiritual qi of heaven and earth in this place, and it was filled with dense demon qi. For ordinary warriors, it would be very difficult to cultivate here. Because there was no spiritual qi of heaven and earth, they could only absorb demon qi and refine it. However, the difficulty of refining demon qi was dozens or hundreds of times more difficult than refining spiritual qi of heaven and earth. But for Lu Ming, it did not matter. He had the 9 dragon bloodline and could devour and refine everything. He could also quickly refine demon qi. Little Qing, where are you? Lu Ming looked into the distance, and his body moved, turning into a beam of light and rushing forward. Not long after Lu Ming disappeared, 4 old men rushed out of the city behind him. Their expressions changed, and they chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming went forward, looking at the 9 underworlds demon realm. The 9 underworlds devil realm was vast and boundless, with mountains, rivers, and rivers. It was said that it was an extremely large mid-sized plane that had automatically evolved into a boundless world. There were also countless creatures living here, all types of plants, too many to count. Moreover, most of the plants were black or dark red and so on. There were also powerful demonic beasts here. However, these demonic beasts were born by absorbing demonic qi. They were called demonic beasts. Their intelligence was on the lower side, but they were very strong. Of course, the ruler of the 9 underworlds demon realm was the Masha clan. It was said that the Masha clan used to be a big clan in the divine wilderness continent in ancient times, and they occupied a large territory. Later, they were defeated by the human race, and fled to the 9 underworlds demon realm. But they were still very strong, and they often attacked the ancient Saint dynasty Xie family. Therefore, the imperial family sent a large army to guard the entrance. Moreover, the Masha clan was very cunning, and they could fly in the 9 underworlds demon realm. It was difficult to kill them. Although the imperial family Xie family would send experts to kill them every once in a while, it was impossible to kill all of them, and they were a big problem for the imperial family. There was also a rumor that the reason why Xiao Wan, the Emperor of Chaos, could start a rebellion and hurt the imperial family Xie family was because of the help of the Masha clan. Whoosh! Suddenly, a beam of black light shot out from a mountain peak below. It was moving at an alarming speed, aiming for Lu Ming. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He stretched out 2 fingers and accurately flicked the black light away. This is the Masha clan? Lu Ming looked at the creature that had attacked him. It was a short humanoid creature that was 2 heads shorter than Lu Ming. This creature was covered in black hair, and there was a pair of fleshy wings on its back. On its wings, there were sharp black bone spikes. The bone spikes that had stabbed at him just now were the same kind of bone spikes. Moreover, this creature had a mouth full of fangs, and its appearance was incomparably hideous. It was like the legendary Azura. This was the Masha clan. Human, kill. The Masha clan roared. In his hand, there was a black bone spike. With a flap of his fleshy wings, he rushed towards Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. The bone spike in his hand was like a sharp sword, stabbing towards Lu Ming. This Masha clan had the battle power of a human martial arts practitioner at the 5th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Lu Ming waved his hand, and a spear light appeared. With a flash, it flew out like a bolt of lightning, killing this Masha clan member. Then, a jade token appeared in Lu Ming's hand. However, there was no reaction from the jade token. Didn't they say that after killing the Masha clan member, the jade token would give the corresponding points? Why is there no reaction? Lu Ming frowned slightly. Then, he flew closer to the corpse of the Masha clan member. But there was still no reaction. There were no points at all. What's going on? Lu Ming's frown deepened. Not good, Lu Ming. There are a few powerful beings flying towards us at an extremely fast speed. They are coming from the direction of the city that you came from just now. Dandan, who had just arrived at the 9 underworlds devil realm, suddenly cried out. How many powerful beings are there? Could they be here to kill the Masha clan as well? Lu Ming muttered as he looked in that direction. Xiao, 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 xiao. 4 rainbow lights streaked across the sky and flew towards them at an extremely fast speed, bringing with them a rolling sound of explosions. When they saw Lu Ming, their eyes lit up, and cold murderous intent spread out. There's murderous intent. They are here to kill me. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he retreated without hesitation. Lu Ming, die! An old man in a black robe roared. His voice shook the heavens. Behind him, a silver combat sword was unsheathed. A ray of silver sword gleam lit up the dark Joyo demon realm, splitting the entire sky. The terrifying sword aura instantly crossed a distance of hundreds of miles and slashed toward Lu Ming. Not good. It's the 8th level spirit god realm. Lu Ming's heart trembled. The power of the sword was too terrifying, as if it could destroy everything. Moreover, it was so fast that Lu Ming didn't have time to perform the bloodline fusion. He could only unleash the power of the 9 dragons' bloodline and merge it with his body. At the same time, his glabella lit up, and the small red pagoda appeared. It enlarged rapidly and blocked in front of Lu Ming. Clang! The silver sword light slashed the red pagoda, and the terrifying power sent it flying, crashing into Lu Ming. Lu Ming and the small red pagoda flew back like 2 cannonballs. Boom! Lu Ming crashed into a mountain and broke the peak of the mountain. His body flew back a few miles before he stopped in the air and spat out a mouthful of blood. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.